Welcome to Flat Earth Debate, Uncut and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe. Hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon, crypto and thanks button in the info box below the video. Speaking of Patrons, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon. So a massive shout out of thanks and appreciation to Moon Harvest, Amish Earther, Naughty Thumbnails, Mitch Kennedy, Original D-Rose, Rod, The Name's Burley, Twad Wazzle, Jason Hornsby, Christoph Fournier, Flat Earth Travolta, J Mel's 24, Unimento, M, Iron 26, Endless, Flat Earth Sage, Golden McKinnon, Retro Bill, More Books, Canabear, Fibre Oats, Michael Kahn, John Kays, Patrick Gunnels, Banter, Mel B Styles, Hairy Blade, Mobile Max 777, Rob W, Reese Pound, Del West Watson, Maria Neelands, Unbelievable Productions, Blue Ridge Ranger, Abraham Mohammed, Skeptic 936, Life is Short, Texas Mike, Tina Baker, David Wayne Foster, and Dank. So another massive thank you to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. Now I will hand over to whoever is in Discord and Google so you can enjoy their dulcet tones while I set up for today's live show.
So you can see more of the chat because you're looking at it vertically versus horizontally.
Wow, that's right. I always wanted more real estate for Discord text chat.
Mhm.
Yeah, I see it.
See, my 4K monitors are nice. They can be twisted right on their own stand, whereas the vertical one I have on a bracket, right? So monitor bracket holds that one vertically.
Right. I learned about the I'll just call them stand, like wall stands. Like you can put the TV on and you can flip your TV one way or the other at will. I first heard about it from like gamers because some old school shooters, right? They have the vertical orientation, right? And they call it like Tate mode or Tate mode or whatever. And I actually did that one at one point in my life, but it wasn't a fancy setup. But I did get the screen twisted, and it was nice to have a vertical shooter take up all that space. But yeah, that's pretty nice to have something like a wall or something that can just flip your TV like that easily at a will.
Yeah, they do make a TV that will change its orientation. I'm pretty sure that's damn expensive. Or have a motorized mount on it that will change it vertical.
Oh, that sounds posh. A remote control, like a garage door opener, right? Oh man, that sounds amazing. Or like an automatic car starter, Good stuff.
Yeah, it's a button on the remote or something you press and it changes its orientation
Oh, that
with a
sounds.
motorized mount.
You got me
It's
sold.
built into the TV, so.
You got me sold on that. I think that sounds really good. Invite people just for that. Show them how it works and then let them out again. All right, that wasn't nice. Yeah, I got you.
Mic check.
Hey,
Hello,
Neil.
Neil. Is that it?
Anybody listen to QE's treatment?
Did?
I missed it. Who'd you do it on?
The one we were doing it on, the Caleb and Fight the Tight shirt with the what do you call it? Non-moderator.
I got to go back and watch it then.
I'm only up to I think the first 20 minutes, maybe a half hour. It's interesting to see when Huey realizes a Wixit student, the reaction.
It just starts correcting him. You know, when he starts doing for what matter and energy are and a Ethereum rhetoric, he just corrects him. So I thought QE
Don't get me
showed.
wrong, the kid's sharp, the kid did good, but when he starts parroting Wixit, it gets very annoying.
As I say, QE just corrected him. I thought he showed great restraint in that regard, actually.
Then again, you got Einstein's equivalence principle, E equals mc squared, you know?
Yeah, he got that wrong. But the Caleb guy didn't pick up on it, so you know, he just rolled with it for the rest. He kept saying it. In fact, if you keep listening to the end of QE show, he says it several more times. But that was earlier on in the debate. So when Arthur presented it to us, he gave us a timestamp about halfway through because he wanted to highlight something about the scientific method, which is fine. In fact, it was very good, our show. I'm happy with. I don't think we need to revisit it or anything. But obviously there was much more meat on that bone, which you'd expect. But the meat came earlier in that regard with the equivalence principle.
Yeah, I think where tight the tight shirt got messed up was he thinks the equivalence privilege is an equal sign.
I see.
I was thinking the same thing. Is that what he's thinking? E equals equivalence? Oh, God.
I don't know.
I bet you it is. Just so everybody knows, equivalent, if you want to write it mathematically, it would be a squiggly line. That would be equivalent mathematically.
How many times did this guy do the affirming the consequent formal logical fallacy? About 15?
Yeah, it's like his go-to.
I thought Caleb was sharp on that, pulling him on that with the unicorns, comparing it, showing him how stupid he is. But I don't think Craig catches on. Or he does, and he's just stubborn, pride.
It wasn't that it's not pride. He knew he was buggered, so he took it somewhere else and affirmed the consequent immediately after that example. I know what you're talking about. And again, QE gave him mad props for it. He's like, look, you're very sharp. That's to the Caleb guy. As I say, he just did the same. He did a standard, what does he call it? Feeding to the wolf pups or something. Treatment. So he did the same treatment, and he said it earlier on in the show, because it's been a bit more refined since he's been doing it a while, which is to say that in the opening statement, he says, this is as open to Caleb as it is to Craig in terms of the critique. If there's stuff wrong, it's stuff wrong. Doesn't matter who's come from. Doesn't matter that Caleb's technically on our side. Or, in this instance, it doesn't matter that he's an Ethereum. If he says something that's correct, then he says something that's correct and it'll get applauded. And if he says something that's wrong, it'll get denounced. Is that the right word? Denounced? Yeah, denounced.
Well, he'll get corrected.
Yeah, and he was. Then it does come after the fact, down to pride and such like. So if he goes, well, I just want to believe in this, whatever he's got to claim for Ethereum nonsense that lines up in many instances with Globe claims, and he just wants to retain it after it's been corrected, well, yeah, that's how it is with some people. It's one of them.
It was funny when he first used the word modality. He went, oh, no. You know right away with that language who he's parroting.
And he disclaims it. He stated his source at one stage. He's like, this has come from Wixit.
Yeah, that's right. He's sitting down with a PhD or something, or a physicist.
I don't know.
Yeah, he says that Witsit has been sitting down with some.
Oh, that was it.
forgot what he
That was
said.
it. He said he's been sat. He said I was listening to PhD whoever sat down with Witsit, and he's like, "Why is a PhD sitting down with Witsit? What's going on?" Anyway, it was very amusing on the Quantum Eraser YouTube channel. Be here or be sphere. Yeah, he called it something like The Treatment, Caleb versus Fight the Fat Idiot.
Pumpkin haircut. He was cracking me up with that pumpkin head haircut.
Yeah, good stuff.
And by the way, the anime is now expected. That son of a gun tracked me down, tracked into my ass, and lived 30 years ago.
I didn't hear a word of that.
I wouldn't call him Inspector Clouseau because I know how he feels about the French. Oh, you didn't get anything I said?
You say something like Adam Meakin and tracked you down. That's all I got.
Tracked me down to where I lived 13 years ago, had my aliases and everything.
Yeah.
But search.
Yeah, I'm sure it's easy for somebody like Adam. You know, he's a smart guy. If he's determined to do something, i.e. find out where you are and that you're okay, I'm sure he had only the most positive of intentions in doing so.
Oh, yeah. He had the address wrong. He was about 15 minutes off.
You'd already escaped from that location 15 minutes earlier. Wow, he really was close behind you.
Yeah, that's where I lived for 08, 15 minutes live now.
Yeah, got a terrible connection at the minute, Neil, but yes.
On the affirming the consequent, though, I've been noticing a lot of times they're not even affirming the consequent. They're doing that if F, then P, P therefore G. It's you know what I mean?
Yeah, yes and no, because as in the case with the example that QE was critiquing, it's a, how can I phrase it? It's a fill in the blanks affirming the consequent. Their position that they're trying to affirm is notwithstanding when they say, I'll just phrase it as an affirming the consequent for now and then go along your lines, if P then Q, they don't actually affirm the consequent because that's the position they're fighting when they make the statement if P then Q. But what you're suggesting is they don't do if P then Q, they do if F then Q. If Earth is flat, because I'll be using an example that measured a flat plane, then random example of an observation that I can make or point out. But they don't then go on to say random observation that I've pointed out, therefore a sphere. They just literally give the, here's my flat Earth example, and here's my random observation I'm going to tie it to. If F, then Q. And then they don't, like I say, complete the statement and affirm the consequent. You have to point out how that within the framework of what they're arguing, that is affirming the consequent. Like them not saying it's Earth curve when they talk about the sphere, Earth, edge, horizon. They just say horizon. Much easier. That's how it's been trained into them. So in the case of when they use a flat Earth, maybe they do know they're doing it, maybe they don't know. will change that over the next couple of years, I'm sure. They use the flat Earth and then give you a random example of something that they can show, and just say that they can show it, rather than saying, if I can show it, and then saying I can show it, and therefore Earth's a sphere. Do you see what I mean? It almost seems unnecessary, but in order to formalize it into the fallacy and say how it works, you have to contextualize it within the framework that they're just arguing with anyway when they start with the if F then P statement, or if F then Q statement, sorry. Make sense?
Right. But yeah, it's like it has the air of an affirming the consequent. But you know what I mean?
It absolutely is. No, it absolutely is an affirming the consequent still. It just doesn't have to be outright declared if the context is there to make the affirmation for you, because that's what you've been debating about. That's the subject matter. Then it is absolutely affirming the consequent. It's not alluding to being just because you've set it in a framework that you're trying to prove unicorns are true. And then you say, well, you know, if, you know, we've got the digestion tract figured out of unicorns, then we'll see this particular scat, or whatever they call unicorn poo, right? They don't then they go on to say, we have found this particular scat because there's a poo standing in front of you. So the affirming the consequent comes in the form of, if unicorn digestion, that would be overall subject matter unicorns being real, then this particular type of poo that we have found, and look, it's in front of you, this poo has been found, therefore we can only infer that unicorn digestion is the result of this poo being produced, therefore unicorns. You don't have to say any of that if the whole discussion is about unicorns existing, and you're talking about the digestive tract, and then you say, well, you know, obviously, you know, we're going to understand and be able to appreciate how the tract worked because we've got the scat to study. Well, that's all I've said, but I haven't said if P then Q therefore P, have I? I've just said here's the scat, and if unicorn digestion, in the context of whether or not unicorns are real. It's still an affirming the consequent, though.
Right, but they ain't got the P statement would exclude a globe. You see what I'm saying?
Alternatively, in my juxtaposition with unicorns, it's that the person who's arguing this is saying horses don't exist. The Earth is not a horse, right? Unicorns is the reality of what we have. And then they offer up horse digestive tract and how it functions. But just whilst saying unicorns, equivalent to, they offer up flat Earth measurements, just while saying globe, or under the context it's proving a globe. Pretense, not context. Pretense.
Yeah, it's the exclusionary part, right? Like if you're talking about angle measurements to, say, celestial lights, right? They're using the celestial sphere, but that's a flat plane model. That's not a globe model. Like there's no globe in that. But because they believe it's a globe, they affirm the consequent with it. It's a lot more dumb than it is on the face, you know?
Yeah. If you believe in unicorns and say there aren't such thing as horses, then you're going to go to the horses and refer to them as unicorns, whilst affirming the consequent of unicorn digestion and unicorn poo, and saying that it proves unicorns. And then we come along and go, but you're using a horse. Now, it can't be a horse, because the frame of reference is a horse, but that's imaginary with respect to the unicorn that it is. And you go, what? But you're measuring a horse. No, when we measure a horse, it's imaginary. The horse is in respect to the unicorns that do exist. It's just a horse you're measuring, and it's the same with flat Earth. You're just measuring a flat Earth. Well, yeah, it's only a little bit flat. Yeah, so it proves a flat Earth. No, the sticks are too short. What, in your example, it was up until this point that we absolutely affirmed that measuring a flat plane was perfectly satisfactory to derive an entire radius from with this little shadow, but now it must use a flat plane, therefore the shadow's not adequate enough. That's the kind of mentality we're dealing with. Perfectly sufficient for me to stick a stick in the ground, measure an angle from it, and derive a curved surface from the angle that was a flat plane measurement. But when I point out that it's a flat plane measurement, it's insufficient to do anything with. That's why I love this argument. The moment they start decrying any of what I put back to them as being a flat Earth measurement, which it absolutely is, you start putting back to them that, oh, this isn't a very good globe proof then. Not sufficient, not adequate. Too short a shadow, you say. Not a very good globe proof then. What's that? It's wonderful, proving a flat Earth. Yeah, it is. So you can tie them up in knots. They can decry their own evidence, because everything they put to me from this point forth is going to have the flat plane pointed out to them. And when they start going, no, it doesn't prove a flat plane. Oh, well, then if you don't need this flat plane you're using in your example, how's it proving a globe? You need a flat plane more than we do. How are you going to deny it? It's right there in your own bloody claim. This is awesome. I love this argument, John.
Yeah, there's a trap to it, isn't there?
Yeah, I did it with the guy that came on, the Z guy. He's like, the shadow's too short for proving a flat plane. What do you mean? It's only a little 1 meter section that he's measuring a shadow from. Oh, right. So for deriving a globe from pretty crap then. It's like, no, wonderful. Yeah, it is when he measures a flat plane. Perfectly satisfactory to extrapolate the flat plane that he is measuring, because he's measuring it. Because that's what he's doing. If it's rubbish, it's because it's rubbish for your globe. If it's good, it's measuring a flat plane. You'll have to accept that to move on with your claim to be globe proof that measured a flat plane. Where are you going to go other than tie yourself in knots and tell me that I don't understand, which is what Zed did, or tell me that I'm wrong when I tell him about his flat plane that he is using for his example? It's like, you can tell me I'm wrong or misunderstanding it all you like. I'll just take the 6, 7, 8, 9 attempts that I did with Zed for him to absolutely affirm that he's measuring a plane, because he is. What are they going to do? You know it, John. I know it. They're measuring a plane.
Yeah, I was in Discord a few months back with, I think it might have been Planar Walk, and he was doing the same thing, was decrying his own proof. And I was like, well, it's crap then. We can throw it out. I said, you know what? Where you've thrown this out, you may be able to go get some kind of award. I'm sure there's an achievement for debunking Eratosthenes out there. Why don't you go claim that?
Exactly. Because they've pretty quickly realised that something that's flat but Earth proving is being measured, and they instinctually attack it. Like, hello, this is your example. So feel free to rip your own wig off violently, because a flat earther's pointing out part of your globe example requires the measurement of a flat Earth. So attack, attack, attack. And at the end, we'll point out that you've just ripped apart your own example of Eratosthenes in this example. Well done. It's epic, isn't it? Let's be honest.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. I don't think people realize what they're doing, though, when they start tearing apart their own claim, you know?
Oh.
It'd be like walking into the courtroom and you point out something to the prosecutor and he starts ripping up the charges, you know? And people are like, well, obviously he's still guilty, but why did he just rip up the charges against him? I don't get it.
Yeah, exactly. It's like the evidence that the prosecutor has within the files shows unequivocally that the person's in a different place at the time that the crime has been committed. And the defense lawyer simply says, in their own files, it shows that he's in a different police station being interviewed at the time of the crime. And the prosecutor says, well, that police report from that police station's useless. Police evidence and police reports aren't worth the paper they're written on. You're like, your entire case is based on police evidence and the paper they're written on. But you're going to decry it because something goes against you from the police evidence and the papers that they're written on. Suddenly they're not worth anything anymore. Okay, you tear them in shreds then. But that's everything that your case is based on, because you're putting it forward based on that. In this case, they're putting forward, globe earthers are putting forward, if I just measure a flat plane, I can prove a globe with it. And we go, so you've got to measure a flat plane with it. Well, the measuring of a flat plane bit's useless. Well, you won't be proving a globe with it then, will you?
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny to see them tie themselves in knots, but I don't think a lot of people that realize that's what they're doing appreciate how painful that is for them to do it.
I've started editing, it's nice to say that, just today. So no crashes, and I'll get into that a little bit, right? So because the computer's so bloody unstable, I couldn't tweak things. So I've now found out various things about my computer, where the bottlenecks lie, what is dependent on what. In other words, if something's limited in speed or ability, what's it slowing down, what's it holding back. But if the computer constantly crashes every time something like that happens because it's inherently unstable or overheating, then you can't really tweak the settings. Do you know what I mean? What I need to be able to do is turn it up to a point where it's like, oh, that's too much. But you can see that it's too much rather than it just instantly blue screening. Well, I've figured that out now because the computer's finally stable and not overheating. I was looking at it today while I was testing going, my God, the highest temperature of a hotspot 70. All the rest of them temperatures are in the 50s and 60s. Oh man, this is like a normal computer. This is great. And I'm fiddling with OBS settings that I haven't been able to tweak in the past because of the inherent instability. Whereas in the last 4 or 5 hours before the show started, from when I got up, basically, as soon as I started work, I was like, I want to figure out why it's dropping frames in live streams. Let's turn up and down the settings and just fiddle with the knobs and dials until I figure out what it all does, or how it affects the picture quality, which took quite a long time, like streaming to YouTube and going in, stopping the streams, setting up another one, changing the settings and starting it again. That all took quite a long time. But I figured out what's wrong, what's causing it to drop frames, as it's now doing. Bastard thing. Well, I'm obviously not quite there.
See, this is the mistake. Stop talking about it. Just do it and don't tell
Before Neil
us
interrupts, I'm nearly there. Right. So thank you, Neil. Thank you for the colour commentary. Really worthwhile. Let's hear 10 minutes of colour commentary interruptions. Go ahead.
I'm just saying, when you start telling us what you do, then things go south. So just do what you do and don't let us know, and everything will be fine.
Yeah, it will be eventually. I'll figure out the combination of encoder speed that's slow enough to not, if pushed a little bit too far, cause the encoder to lag, which YouTube doesn't like because it wants a constant bit rate. So it can fluctuate, but you don't want it to. You want it to be nice and steady, right? Well, I'll figure that out. Now that when I change one of those settings, I don't get insta crash because I fiddled with the setting. So now I haven't started live streaming and haven't I won't for 15 minutes. So what I can do, because I'm testing the equipment, not going, oh my God, what's the temperature? What's going to die? No. Everything's working fine. I'm going to stop the live stream, which hasn't yet gone live, if that makes sense, and go into the settings and change something. I'm going to go, all right, okay, I'm going to lower my bitrate just a little smidge. No worries. From 15,000 down to what YouTube recommends for a minimum at 1440p, 13,500. And then I'm going to click apply and test again. But in so doing, I can let Arthur in, the sound hasn't crashed, the recording hasn't stopped, it hasn't blue screened, I haven't lost both nothing's happened, Neil. You know what I mean? So, in conclusion, I've been tweaking the settings to stop it doing that slowly over the course of this morning. But when I reached a point, as I thought I had, that, oh no, I've stopped it doing that now, I've lowered the settings enough to achieve that, I've then gone on to edit videos with my morning, rather than going at some point, which it would have done previously, crashed, in which case I have to, without wanting to or not, dedicate time to stopping it crashing, because otherwise I'm gonna lose a live stream or a recording. So then you have to dedicate your time to that. Well, I didn't. I'm like, oh, I'm happy with these settings. Seems okay. Now, it might be that it dropped frames a minute ago because maybe I had a little glitchy internet, dropped internet for a couple of seconds. I don't know. But I'm more than happy to fiddle with it and change the settings, knowing confidently that it's not going to crash the computer. Well, that's literally in the last week or so, Neil. So a nice feeling. And it means, as I said last week, eventually I can get to a stage where I'm happy with it, it's not going to crash, even if I am on the fly fiddling, because I always want to perfect it a little bit more. If I can get it better, I will. But I'm not dedicating my entire life to it. Therefore, today, just now, just before we started live streaming, I've uploaded a video of the conversation in hand, which is essentially part 1, the first 6 attempts for Zed to acknowledge, which he did at the end of the 6th attempt, indeed, he's measuring a flat plane when he gets his angles to infer that the Earth is curving. So that's part 1. And towards the end, when he's decrying his own rhetoric as being not very good because I'm saying it proves a flat Earth, suddenly, well, it's only a little shadow, it's only a 1 meter square. That's like attempt 12 through 15. If you know what I'm saying, Neil, and you're a fan of the show, you know where this is going. So you can imagine there's a fair bit of meat on that bone for me to trim out. But I've started doing it as opposed to fiddling with this computer because it blue screened while I was trying to figure out what encoder settings to set. I never really got to that stage. I was always, oh, it's blue screened. I'll have to go back to fiddling with RAM, fiddling with voltages, fiddling with undervolts, all that kind of crap. I'm not doing that anymore. So happy days. Anyway.
Well, let me tell you something. For you going through all of that stuff with the computer, to still be able to hold yourself strong in debate like that, that's hats off to you, man. Because I listened back, and I'm against all of those that said you should have been nicer to him. And no, that is Nathan Oakley at his best. You don't give that son of a bitch any room to breathe.
No, well, I mean, I did initially when he first made his claims, but by the time we've all established that he's got an Aristotelian claim, that's it. You just move on from there. We all understand what he's claiming. There's nothing more to do other than to take it apart with his constant interruptions about assumed tangents to the sphere, with the flat plane being the thing that's being measured. And he wants to take us to, it's an imaginary flat plane that's being measured, and the dingleberry dangling beneath is perfectly acceptable to extrapolate from a 1 meter square flat plane that's not acceptable to prove a flat Earth's being measured when it's measured, because it's only a meter squared. But we can extrapolate an entire flat plane tangent to a sphere dangling below that we're going to get the radius from this 1 meter flat plane that must be a flat plane. That's where he wants to go, because it's convoluted enough for an audience to lose track. No, I stopped him in his tracks, no. He's measuring a flat plane, 6 attempts later. Indeed. But it's tangent. No, he's measuring a flat plane. Yeah, that's the facts of the matter. Now, for them, it's very painful. No, it's flat plane that he's measuring, but mitigation, globe. No. As soon as I get you to concede, you're measuring a flat plane. Everything from that point forward is irrelevant, totally redundant, and no amount of bleating. Well, oh, you're not going to say that I assume a tangent's below the flat plane I've definitely got them measured. Oh, no, I'm not. Why would I? He wouldn't accept that he was measuring a flat plane. He disagreed multiple times. So when he finally concedes, yes, indeed, he is measuring a flat plane, but it's tangent to a... It's like, no, you're not going to tell me 6 times, no, I'm not measuring a flat plane, to only eventually go, well, indeed, obviously he's measuring a flat plane, but I'm going to blah, blah, blah through the rest of your example, now finally conceded 6 attempts later, to blah, blah, blah my way with mitigation. Now, shut that shit down. Yes, Neil.
And that's what makes the show great. And, I thought for a second, right at the beginning, when you said, the pennies dropped, I thought he was going to get it, but he didn't. He went back to his religion.
Yeah, well, he didn't go back to his religion. He burned his evidence in effigy. That's what he ended up doing.
Yeah.
He burnt the evidence that he claimed proved a globe.
He denied it 6 times, and then upon concession that that's what's being measured, a flat Earth, he said, but that bit is only imaginary, or words to that effect, like several of them have done when we've done this to them in the past. Take them to the point where they're decrying their own evidence, burning it in effigy, as you put it. Well, yeah, that burning is of their own claim they've put to us, but cannot concede that there's a part in their own claim that measures a flat Earth. So they must instinctually attack. Like, you're the one claiming it. You just need a flat Earth more than we do. They've all got all sorts of outrageous reifications that need to start somewhere. Well, we don't have any outrageous reifications. I'm not measuring anything, am I? Literally, I'm not. As a flat earther YouTuber, I'm not measuring a damn thing, and I don't need to. But they are, and they can come to me all day long presenting what they've measured, a flat Earth, and then take their outrageous steps of reification to tell me how that proves a sphere. And then decry the very nature of the measurement of a flat Earth that is needed for their outrageous reification of a sphere. I'm not the one doing that. I don't need a flat plane to prove a flat plane. Because what do I require beyond what you come to me with, which already measures a flat plane, to then go on to say Earth's a sphere? I'll just take the flat plane measurement you come to me with, because I don't need anything. I already knew it was flat before you came to me with this flat plane measurement that you say proves a sphere. It doesn't. It never will. But you can feel free to keep coming to me with the flat Earth measurements that you say prove a sphere, and I'll just point them out to you while you tell me No, it's not. It's not. It's only an imaginary flat Earth bit that's only a meter squared. But I can derive an entire radial value from it. That bit's all right. The dingleberry dangling beneath the plane I measure, that bit's real, and I'm proving it. But the flat plane that he measures, that I need to get that radial value from, that bit's inconsequential. Definitely not proving a flat Earth.
Well, he jumped between that position and, well, it's so big it's flat. Like, wait, hold on a minute. Is it just such a small spot it's flat, or is it so big that it's flat? That doesn't make sense. Which one are you claiming? You know? I mean, both of them are flat, so, like, either way, you're screwed, but even your rhetoric, what would that be called? Apologetics for how flat it is doesn't make sense.
Right. There's no mitigation for this, is there? The only bit that's ever going to be measured is a flat Earth. Hey, Arthur.
Yeah, that's the bottom line. And he got it at the beginning when you brought him with the two straight lines. He said, "Oh, I see where you're going," but that was it.
Well, he thought he could beg the question of a tangent, but Eratosthenes, there's no tangent sphere in Eratosthenes. That's the dumbest thing I ever heard in my life. He just measured a flat plane.
Yeah, but I don't get it. When it's put the way Nathan put it, and you put two and two together, like, oh shoot, this is not possible if I'm on a ball. That's it. It's game over. It's time to realize what you're living on.
Well, I don't know if he ever come to that realization. I don't think he was fighting the comprehension, you know.
No, but
That's why
right at the beginning, hold on, right at the beginning, he did. When Nathan had him define an angle with two straight lines meeting at a vertex, there was a delay, and then he goes, "Oh, I see what you're talking about," or something to that effect. The penny did drop.
Well, they want to take elevation away from the surface of Earth. You know, when you talk about an elevation angle, they don't want it to be with relation to the surface of Earth. They want it to be with relation to nothing.
Yeah, but everything is relation to Earth. Everything. We're standing on the freaking thing.
Yeah. Yeah, they just don't want to believe that. It's crazy. I know, but they're crazy. By the time they get to us, they've been driven mad.
Hello, Nathan. Hello, everyone. Good to see you, Neil.
What's up, Arthur?
Flat Arthur, how are you?
I'm good. And Neil, I've got a message for you.
Go.
Get stopped! Can you please tell me what that is supposed to mean? Because I was told by QE the same thing. Get stuffed! And no one was able to tell me what that is supposed to mean.
Which means get lost.
Oh, but refracted curvature told me that it depends on the context.
Maybe it means eat breakfast. You need to calm down. No, you're very calm. That's the joke, Arthur.
Yeah, it was said as a joke, and same, I also did. Anyways, Neil, good to see you once again.
Yeah, I'm around. I've been listening, and I don't think he's caught on to what I was saying yesterday. Being away from the show, I wanted to see, would I still be as hungry as I was for it when I first stumbled across this flat Earth debate? And yes, the answer is yes.
We all got that. That was so
You didn't
yesterday.
make a big deal about it. Pat yourself on the back. Take some victory laps. The show is still ace.
No offence, Neil. With all due respect, I didn't need you to tell me how ace this show was. This show is ace. I know it's ace. You know, it would be difficult to say things like, we're on the cutting edge of flat Earth debate, if that wasn't true. If I was just conning people, just using the confidence of the statement itself to allude to the notion that we take apart all aspects of the globe claim, we take them and prove a flat Earth with them. Those are statements that are factual. I'm trying to say monotone while I say them, to not demean them, but to not throw in the over exasperation that I can also use when making those sorts of statements of fact. But some people do just use the confidence of the statement, not that statement, any statement, to make people believe what they say to be true. In this case, the quality of the show and the quality of what we produce here. Now, that is not reflected in the audience viewing figures per show at all. Overall, I do a lot of shows so that I can keep my numbers up and keep a living trickling in, as it's not at the moment. Several weeks off has really hurt me. But there we go. I won't moan about financial. People hate that. But nevertheless, you know, people want to hear the person on their channel that they're watching exude confidence in whatever it is. Now, unfortunately, it would be nice to exude confidence in financial success. It's one of those things that I just can't lie about and say, oh, I'm doing really well. No, I'm not. I'm scraping by, and having a couple of weeks of failed computers has really hurt my income, which is unfortunate. You know, lots of text messages from the bank and things. But that isn't what people want to hear. What they do want to hear when they come to Flat Earth debate is numpty, this case Zed, decrying his own claim of a flat Earth, oh my bad, globe proof. They want to hear that being ripped apart by himself, because it's like that's not only, that's beyond skilled ninjery, isn't it? I mean, you're taking it beyond. It's like if no touch ninjery was real. You're getting them to beat themselves up. You're like, this is epic. So you can't really declare those things to be true unless they really, really are.
Yeah.
Hello,
Let's
good
get it
afternoon.
on.
Hey, good afternoon.
Hello.
Let the destruction begin.
Destruction? Oh, well, that depends. I mean, we've generally got to have somebody to feed off in that regard, Neil. You know, I know we were discussing this in the pre-show for the audience's benefit, as we've literally just gone live, but we were going through the fortunate fact that I can start editing some videos together again, one of which being the last fundy that joined us, called Zed, and his, 6 attempts to understand the flat Earth requirement in his example that he claimed prove a globe, and how he would literally tear out his own intestines when it comes to his own claim using a flat plane, rather than utilise it to prove a flat plane exactly as is being measured. So in that instance, instinct has led that particular fundamentalist religious globe-believing zealot to tear out their own intestines, because their own intestines include a flat Earth. So that's what they do, and it's very amusing. Hence, us being able to declare that we are very much on the cutting edge of this particular discussion. That would be globe Earth and the lack thereof. We don't live on a globe. Earth is measured flat in all examples. So feel free to pop on by, click the link as I say in the intro every day, and let us know your thoughts on the nature of Earth. Your thoughts will lead us to affirm how you have measured a flat plane, if you're claiming it to be a globe proof. Speaking of which, any evidence of a physical geometric sphere edge? That's a horizon, formerly known as Earth curve.
What do you think this is? No Atmo Day?
Wow, that's a very overloaded mic. No, I don't think it's no Atmo
Okay.
Day. That has nothing to do with a physical geometric sphere edge in the maths assertion, because no Atmo Day is Atmo air, and that would infer that the pictures you take and compare to the maths have anything to do with the maths. They don't. So who cares if it's no Atmo Day? We haven't got a physical geometric sphere edge unless you're deriving it from a flat plane.
But you can't see the curve because of the Atmo.
In pictures, that's no bearing on Earth curve. Earth curve only exists in the maths. In years gone by, they may have stacked up pictures that you took with your Kodak or your P900 against the Earth curve calculator, and then talked about whether or not we've got atmosphere to see geometric horizons that only exist in the maths when deriving the differential between surface level, that's a flat Earth, and eye level, parallel with the flat Earth. And then saying, based on those extractions, let's call them, that there's a geometric sphere edge marked with an X and labelled horizon below the surface level. Utterly absurd, even in the maths. But that definitely isn't something you can compare to a picture that you've taken in reality and then talk about how the atmosphere, sphere-shaped air oxymoron, affects it.
Yeah, but Nathan, I mean, there have been sightings of oil platforms being behind the curve. So isn't that a black swan to the flat Earth? I mean, you only have to see that curve one time and you know the Earth is not flat.
Right, in 2023, are there still numpties that do not actually read what the black swan argument is, as opposed to what they think they need to attack with respect to some oil rigs? There are no mention whatsoever of oil rigs in the black swan. None. Show me where it says oil rigs in the black swan argument. It doesn't. There's nothing to do with oil rigs. Their relevance is demarcation of distance. They are at fixed locations, after all. Therefore, you can ascribe the distance to horizon based on the oil rigs, but that would be the demarcation of distance. Who gives a crap about the oil rigs? The argument's about the horizon.
Yes, but if you're seeing anything in relation to that horizon, it's all just warping and wobbling around,
And
well, then it could just be refracted from beyond the curve. That
meanwhile,
you can see in an instance.
Yeah, that's fascinating with respect to the picture, but with respect to Earth being a sphere radius 3959, then every distance to the horizon can be no more than 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. Now, what are you going to do because of height in feet in their maths being in there? Attack the height? Or attack the distance? Well, you're attacking the distance by red herring away from the distance when you talk about what the oil rigs are doing. Their only purpose is to demarcate how far the horizon is or is not, based on its physical limitation as a hill. Who cares what the oil rigs are doing? It's not 2050, it's not 2020 anymore.
Earth has to be
Also-
flat for there to be a horizon in the first place. You are not getting no horizon on a ball.
Yeah, I was getting ready to go to the rise over run formula for slope and how the horizon is 0.
Exactly.
So how do you
Horizon
compare?
would be geometric if it wasn't for the atmosphere.
You just destroyed a completely perfectly acceptable globe demolishment, courtesy of Quantum Eraser and the Slope-a-dope. Thank you, Arwin. Do you want to just
I
hold
did?
off till we hear the end of the actual demolition of the globe prior to your interruption?
Oh, sorry. It's just that, you know, we're dealing with Glober, so they are going to recycle everything we've debunked. So I'm just preparing for the next rollout.
Okay, fine.
Right, but
Yeah, John.
curvature is defined as the rate of change of slope. The horizon is using the rise over run formula gives you 0. How can 0 be the rate of change of slope? That doesn't make sense.
It can't and it isn't. 0 is not a rate of change. That's no rate of change. The horizon's not
Nothing
Earth curve.
happening is a phenomenon. Damn it.
The horizon's not Earth curve. By its very nature, its definition, and its useful practical application, it cannot be Earth curve and has been demonstrated not being where a hill blocking your view would be in the Black Swan. It doesn't comport with the description, the definition, or the practical application. The horizon is not Earth curve.
That's a fact.
Going to do a few more housekeeping questions. We don't typically go through all of them every day anymore. The evidence of axial rotation of the Earth-based variety.
Well, Earth would have to be a sphere for that, correct?
Well, how would you measure the axis if Earth was a sphere?
You derive
It's
the
very simple. It's very simple. There are things moving in little circles. That can only happen if the Earth were a sphere and spinning, causing them to spin like that. Actual deviations caused by the Earth spin. That is called Coriolis effect in Wikipedia.
second time's a charm. You've responded, but you didn't actually listen to what John said, did you?
What did he say?
Precisely. Where will you
How
get...
will you
Go ahead, John.
how will you measure the axis to a certain spin?
Where'd you get the axis?
Well, you have to know the radius first.
Where'd you get
And
that?
you do that by measuring the horizon. Oh, wait, we can't do that because it's refracted. Well, we just assume it.
No, you'll derive a radial value from a horizontal plane of reference. Now, it doesn't matter what derivation you use. Let's say it's the minimum elevation angle measurement to Polaris to define an equatorial plane. But that angle derivation at its minimum for Polaris is a flat plane measurement. That will give you a radial value. But that is not capable of being derived from a sphere and is not being derived from a sphere. It is being derived from a flat plane to infer an axis of rotation. So in answer to John's question, where will you get an axis? From a flat plane.
Okay, fair enough.
Not really. You're going to need a flat Earth to assert that we're a spinning, rotating body.
Isn't the Earth flat in pseudo-Riemannian force space? So we
We're
could
not
just
talking
use
about
that.
4D sport. We're not talking about Einstein. We're talking about axial rotation, and that's with respect to two. Why have you taken it to 4D? Why did you do that? Are you just being your typical baller and bouncing around subject matters?
I don't know what else to do, man.
Quick, say
What do you
something.
want from me? Oh, it's all derived from a flat plane. Yeah, sorry. What do you think I'm going to do?
Well, I mean, you could throw out the equivalence principle being E equals MC squared or something like that.
Yeah, I almost forgot about that. Equivalence principle.
Okay, right. No, Arwin. We're talking about axial rotation. Now, if you're going to... You almost took it to a place that we could work with, which was Coriolis effect. An inference that we've got two frames of reference, one of which is a rotating non-inertial frame of reference based on an axis. Hence the question axial rotation, any evidence thereof. But that axis, as John finally gets to maybe make his summary, is derived from a flat plane. Can you summarise, John, as it's your point that's had to labour this with Arwin's interruption, ruining the concise nature of what you said? Thank you, Arwin.
Yeah, no matter what they do, they have to, whether they're asserting a latitude-based actual deviation, which is not Coriolis, or they want to assert that the stars are turning overhead, or we're turning underneath the stars, which are fixed in the celestial sphere. That's a flat plane that you're referencing in both instances. So yeah, you don't.
You're going to need a flat plane for axial rotation.
Yeah.
Well, if you're going to use the stars as your point of reference to prove that, i.e., their movement of the stars is your proof of axial rotation, then yeah, you're going to need a flat Earth to measure your supposed orbits or your supposed rotation. It's going to be referenced to the flat plane because every bit of movement is a referenced angle, elevation angle.
Right. And if you're going to assert a actual deviation globulus, non-Coriolis claim, you're going to need latitudes, which are only derivable from the flat plane.
It's overcomplicated again, isn't it? Because you see, you've gone, if you're going to use the fact that the stars move as your evidence, well, that's the debunk. It's not evidence, mate, is it? Stars moving above my head is not evidence that I'm moving.
Why are you trying to...
Yeah, but...
Hold on a second.
Hold on.
What is going on today? Or yesterday and the day before that? Your suggestion, Adam, is to say that when they infer that the motion of the stars based on an axis that we are deriving from a flat plane to infer we're on a spherical surface moving to move the stars, apparently move the stars, is better debunked by suggesting that that's just not proof that we're moving. That's your suggestion. Rather than saying, okay, for you to suggest that we are in an orbital motion, as they absolutely will do just by looking at the stars and saying, look at that, therefore we're in orbit, is to point out how they derived the claim through their maths with a flat plane. Better, according to you, to just say, well, that doesn't prove we're moving.
It doesn't. It doesn't. And all you're doing is going, look, no, baller, come over here. I've got a really shiny, nice new toy. Now, I'm going to have to presuppose all sorts of shit I'd have never let you get away with before, so I can drop your head off with this one. Yeah, but no, you can't. You've got to presuppose something to take them to chop that head off. You've got to allow the presupposition that star rotation means the Earth's moving to allow you to then use what I just said with regards to elevation angles to chop the head off.
Yeah.
Right. Let's go back to the beginning.
But they
what
will,
are we
and they...
discussing?
Hold on, let me just clear that up with Adam first. They will and they do. And when they do, we'll point out they need a flat Earth for it. Not tell them that doesn't prove we're spinning.
Them? Why am I now doing
I'm going to tell you.
And allowing... And I'm asking Nathan, because it's Nathan I'm challenging it. He doesn't let Tony presuppose coffee, right? And now he's presupposing that star movement means Earth rotation to use his shiny new weapon.
No, I'm not. I'm saying when they propose that star movement proves Earth rotation, the response will be that they will need a flat Earth in order to make that claim, and show how they have used the flat plane to derive a radial value to give them an axis to infer we're a non-inertial turning reference frame when they, not I, claim we are, which they do.
What's the name of the door?
Hold on. I'd rather hand off to John. Credit where credit's due, unless he doesn't want to.
No, because you're not mugging me off like that. You've just
right. What's the name of the door? What are we?
Hold on, he's objecting, John. We're going to get some order because I don't want this to be like last time when we were all talking over each other. Hold on, Adam. I'll get some order, regardless if it was me pinned up against a wall, which is fine. Right. I'd rather...
Make your point again.
Go on.
You make your point again. You've just said, why not do this? Yeah? Well, because if I do that, I've already presupposed that any movement of the stars means that I'm moving.
You will be inferring that if you are claiming it as a glober, correct?
The second, as a glober, I claim that star movement is a methodology for measuring Earth rotation, I've had to assume that it's me that's moving, not the thing that I'm measuring moving. That's the point I don't want to go past yet. I don't need an elevation angle. I don't need a flat plane yet. I need to deal with your begging question.
Still need a radius.
If the stars move, then I have axial rotation. The stars are moving, therefore the Earth's rotating. No, I'm not going past that point. I'm not going and getting out my shiny new sword at all. Don't even need to unsheath this one.
Okay, everyone stop. We're going to do a quick call to action, and then we're going to have some nice ordered discussion where everyone lets everyone finish. I can hear you objecting. I hear your objection. Right. First and foremost, this is going to get heated quickly, so please share the show. If you're a fundie and you happen to want to dive in because it's getting heated, you can also feel free. There is a link below, as I shout out every single time I do an intro, but people may have joined since the intro, which is highly likely. Click the link if you're a globe believer and want to affirm some of the positions that obviously aren't proving a flat earth as far as you are concerned. For us on the panel, when it's Adam talking, he's going to get to the end of his point in its entirety, even if it seems long-winded. I'm not saying it was Adam. Okay, right.
I have a propensity for that.
No, not at all. I'm just saying. Fine. Your objection. Go ahead, John.
Adam has an extremely valid point. If the name of the debate was, is the stars rotating or is the flat plane rotating? What are we debating? What is the name on the channel when you step in here, though?
Bang. I absolutely love it. Go ahead, Adam.
No, the question was to do with Coriolis. Don't change the question so you can read.
It was not. You introduced Coriolis.
No.
No, the question had to do with axial rotation.
Axial rotation. Okay.
Not Coriolis. No,
Okay.
no, no.
We can blame Arwen. Blame Arwen.
Okay. I'm still happy with axial rotation. Axial rotation has nothing to do with flat Earth. It doesn't have to be, does it? You can still have a big pizza spinning. It's what we're talking about is the assumption that the Earth is spinning, and the assumption that when we see the stars moving in the sky, that means we're moving. That's
okay.
What
So
we're
we got
dealing with.
we got this big flat pizza spinning.
Have you?
Nobody's claiming that.
Flat Earth
Total red
What?
herring. Nobody is claiming that. Total red herring.
Right. Yeah, it's a red herring, but so the Glober has a big flat pizza spinning. Okay,
No, they
and
don't.
Not my claim.
You keep doing this. Is it my
no.
claim that the
Yeah.
globe is spinning and it's got axial rotation that I can prove a flat plane is needed to claim? Or is it you claiming it and me arguing against it with you telling me that I'm now begging the question like Anthony did? Because you're convoluting this
You're
into...
the baller. You were the baller. I was first responding to you being the baller, claiming axial rotation.
I've not done that on the show. I've not done
the
that.
movement at the stars.
Well, then there's confusion because I've not done that. I've not played devil's advocate and been a baller.
No. I've responded to the baller. That's what I was saying. I wouldn't go there.
What?
Yeah,
Yeah, you've convoluted it well enough that nobody's getting the point. That's what ballers do.
Ooh, I put your hand back down. And let's start again then and
That's
clarify
honesty, isn't it?
Let's start again then and clarify it. So the point I was responding to was you guys saying, right, a baller said to us axial rotation, and you want to go to elevation angles taken from flat Earth because they're the thing that they're going to measure to show their rotation.
Correct.
And I said, no, I wouldn't go there. I don't need to go there because it's the assumptive part of their statement that I'm going to focus on first. That if I have star rotation, it means I've got Earth rotation. Hold on. Let me finish my sentence.
Just give me another minute.
What I was saying was that's the point I would first deal with before going to any flat plane stuff. Because at the moment, the baller hasn't invoked a ball or a flat plane. He's just said that the Earth, whatever it is rotating. I'm done.
How did he establish the axis for the spin? Right. So you don't think it's relevant?
You don't know, and I don't.
Excuse me. How did he establish this axis that you are begging the question of whether it's turning or not turning to discuss with him as an assumption? The fact is there's an axis that has been ignored to talk about whether the stars are moving or you are.
Well, let's give it an assumption then, John. So we can both respond.
Don't use axis. Don't use axis.
No. Somebody's got to be the baller that's going to present it because he's come to as me and John then, and we're both going to attack it in different ways. So what's the baller saying? Because at the moment he's saying, as far as I can see, both of us are responding to him saying the Earth rotates because stars move in the sky. Yeah, are we both responding to the same statement the baller's made there?
Yes.
Where did you get the axis to assume the stars were moving?
I haven't got an axis yet. I've got a baller that's just said at the moment, I can prove the Earth's rotating because I can track the movement of the stars in the sky at 15 degrees per hour. Yeah.
Well, the real answer is that's an affirming the consequent fallacy.
Thank you very much, Eli. I love you.
Hold on a second. No, the stars are turning around what?
I don't know. Well, and you're affirming the consequent thing that's got to be now. Yeah. This is what I'm saying.
Hold on. No. You listen. Are the stars turning around the Earth? Really?
That's what I can
Is that
see.
what you believe as a baller?
That's all I can see. I'm not a baller. All I can see.
Stop. No, you can't do that. You're giving us the position
from a baller in this. I'm trying to show you guys I would not use your super wieldy weapon. I'd do exactly what Eli spotted it as, which is to point out that this is an affirming the consequent formal logical fallacy.
Okay.
You don't need flat Earth.
Okay. Let's just fine. I'll take that totally on board. So, just to appease you, would you not say, and I think it was John who already said this, given the name of the show, when somebody affirms the consequent that if the Earth is a sphere, and they don't have to say it, then the star rotation I observe, and there is star observed rotation, therefore Earth's a spinning sphere, right? First thing you should do, if you're a proponent of a flat Earth, is point out, if you will, I don't know why it's taking priority, but it will in this example, that they have affirmed the consequent. So you've just affirmed the consequent, that's a logical fallacy. Therefore, your argument is void. Your argument, in order to utilize this fallacious reasoning, required the measurement of a flat plane to do so. Were you aware of that?
Well, hold on.
So after you've killed him, you're going to then stab him with your flat Earth sword.
You're doing it again. It's the same thing with the curve calculator that you said was an Earth curve calculator. Is their claim that the stars are rotating, or is it their claim that the stars are fixed and they are rotating?
Fixed and they are rotating.
Their claim? Okay, then. Why are you talking about the stars rotating? Baller.
Exactly. I'm happy with that. I've not meant to invoke a flat plane yet, have I? Why are you talking about the stars rotating, baller? What does it mean?
Right. So they're not going to claim what you said they'll claim.
They've got to claim some of them.
Yeah,
if they're claiming we're rotating, what are they going to use to prove rotation then? If they're not going to use star rotation?
Well, if they do use star rotation, and they are, as you now positioned it, as we would also in this scenario, that they are claiming the star's movement is as a result of an Earth turning, then they're going to need a flat Earth for that. And that is absolutely what and that is what they would be claiming.
What? So they're claiming if star turn, then Earth moving.
Yes.
Are you serious?
Need to go any further, Nathan. Come on. This is what I'm saying, dude. You would not have allowed Tony to wander into a great gravity point if that's all that's needed at the beginning. Put your shiny new weapon down. You can't use it here.
That's what they claim. What are you talking about? They claim that the stars are not moving, that it's the Earth that's moving. You have decided what they're claiming arbitrarily, which is not what they're claiming.
Your mic's breaking up, by the way, John. Yeah, it's got to be opposed in order for it to be drummed home. And I'm not against Adam opposing it in this regard. There's plenty of examples where I have put down people who have said, no, I'm going to take it through the steps of them so I can show how they're wrong. This isn't just showing how they're wrong, though. It's not showing how the argument doesn't work and doesn't lead to a logical conclusion. This is showing how the conclusion they've drawn required a flat Earth to be measured in practical application. It required Earth to be flat to make the affirming the consequent. After you've pointed it out as a fallacy, why not show that the only bit that's being physically measured in their example is a flat Earth?
Well, my point is, when Adam first brought this up, he brought up a claim they don't make. They don't claim the stars are rotating. They claim the stars are fixed and that the plane is rotating with respect to the stars.
Correct.
That is their claim.
Yeah.
You're being dishonest at this point unless you acknowledge what I just said. You are being dishonest at this point.
I'm not really sure of your point here. But my point was trying to get the baller, who I wasn't being, to try and address a claim for me to then deal with as a flat earther. So I know they're going to say to me, however you want to phrase it, that star movement means Earth rotating. You can construct the sentence in whichever way you're happy, and you want to do that.
What they claim.
If you
That's
want
not
to,
what they claim.
if you want,
There's a difference.
I'll tailor my response to you as whatever you want to describe what the baller would say.
No, that's not their claim. You're acting like you don't know what their claim is all of a sudden.
Hold on, Adam. Hold on,
and I'll respond to it accordingly. Then,
Adam, hold on. Let him make his objection. I didn't hear it. Go ahead, John.
Yeah, you're acting like all of a sudden you don't know what they claim anymore, Adam.
No, you're being a bit
you're acting like that they're claiming the stars are moving, and they're not claiming that, and you know it. You know they're not claiming the stars are moving. You know that, and you're being dishonest. At this point, I am pointing it out.
I'm not sure
if you either accept it, are you being dishonest?
No, we need to finish this, Eli, because I'm now being called dishonest.
But you're rumpusing him as well. Are we getting a bit of audio chaos? Just please refrain from rumpusing him. Adam, talking to you.
Yeah, well, I've just been called dishonest when all I was trying to do was lay out a situation to address. So, refracted, if you'd like to put the statement that you think I, as the baller, should have put forward first for me to address, then I will address that, and then we can remove the tag of dishonesty, can't we? So make the statement that you, as the baller, would like me to respond to in terms of how you're going to describe this star movement as your evidence for Earth rotation.
See, you did it again. The star movement. The stars ain't moving, Adam. They don't claim the stars are moving.
So please,
why do you keep saying it? Address it. Address why you keep saying that, or I'm going to call you dishonest at this point.
Yeah, one more, and I'll tell you to fuck off. I've just
no swearing. No, keep it civil.
Very rude and aggressive. I'm trying my best here to make this pleasant. So I'll ask you again, Refracted, if you just put it to me, if you're the baller now, the exact statement that you would like me to respond to, then I can do that. No need to question my integrity.
So now I have to give their claim. The stars are not moving, Adam. This is what a baller will tell you. The stars are not moving. The Earth is turning underneath the stars to give an apparent deviation.
Correct.
That is their claim.
So if I see stars moving in the sky, what it actually means is I'm rotating. Is that what you're saying, Mr. Baller? Just so I understand your claim, Mr. Baller. I know that the stars aren't moving in your paradigm, but I do see the stars moving. So you're telling me when I see the stars moving, it means I'm rotating. Is that your claim, sir?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be a formal logical fallacy of affirming the consequent.
Yeah.
Yeah. So notwithstanding that we would point out they're affirming the consequent fallacy, is it not also pertinent to point out that the claim in the first instance utilises a flat Earth to derive the ball that they think is rotating in this instance, to give them the axis?
No.
Yes, I like your summarization.
Formal logical fallacy. There's no need to mention the angle. We've not got to the angle. He's already lost the argument by having to admit that the way you would construct it with elevation angles is in of itself a formal logical fallacy. We don't need to cite what the source of the elevation angle and what that would prove is, because we've already undone the argument at its root that it is a formal logical fallacy.
Right, but turning, the Earth turning was my point. You don't get turning without an axis.
Right. They're contingent upon each other,
so it's a
right?
bit of oh, go ahead, AI.
If an axis is contingent with rotation, which you can't separate the two, then as soon as you infer rotation, an axis is automatically proven if your first premise is true. You don't need any angles to determine an axis exists. Maybe the particular orientation of the axis in free space, but other than that, you don't. So the usual second order argument goes like this. I see stars rotating one direction in the northern hemisphere and a different direction in the southern hemisphere, right? And they do appeal to the stars rotating in that fashion. So it's not true that they never mention that the stars are rotating. Now, yes, technically they're using a sleight of hand of language, but all of those things can infer an axis, necessarily so if the other premises are true. You never need to measure any angle just to make the claim that the object is rotating and has an axis. Axis and rotation are contingent. They can't exist separately.
Hemisphere. It's there
Hey,
in the fucking language. What are you just
I know it's hard to comprehend logic, but it's too bad for you, I guess.
Well, I mean, even
I'm with you, George. You want everything to be answered by you need a flat plane for that, but it's just not true.
Look here, the words themselves are invoking the flat plane. Okay, you said hemisphere,
dude.
Right? Where are they getting hemisphere from?
Okay.
The idea of turning. Where are they getting the idea of turning from? You're saying that you can imagine turning without an axis, but you can't at the same time.
In my opinion,
who said that?
Hold on. Hello. Sorry, Eli. Let AI respond.
Dude, nobody said that you can have turning without an axis. That's retarded. Were you not paying attention?
That's my point, though.
Well, no duh, dude. Axis and rotation are contingently linked. They can't exist separately. Right?
That's his point. So to have an axis, you're going to derive it from a flat plane to assert it.
No, not at all.
So didn't
rotation necessarily has an axis.
Really?
There's no logic. There's no premise in the logic string that requires a flat plane to have a necessary axis. Period. End of story.
Okay, let me just put it to John. What he's saying, John, is if you've got total ignorance in regards to the phenomenological fallacy that you affirm, when you just outright balls to the wall assume Earth's a sphere, which is originally where I agreed with Adam yesterday in this regard, right? Then that is the underlying fallacy that needs to be addressed. That's their point. Now, while I agree with them, I still stand doggedly behind the fact that in order to make this assumption, you're going to do something in practical application. And it's wrong for me to not point out where there's an actual measurement and how that actual measurement in physicality gets turned into this affirming the consequent. But why wouldn't you do that?
Right. But the thing is, it's in the language, right? They've hidden it in the language itself. That's why I said that's my point with Adam and with you. The spinning part. It's hidden in what the definition of spinning is. It's not in, logic. You obviously miss it too, then. You don't get it.
Yeah, bro. I don't get that. You don't understand how to form a logic string. Yeah, sure.
Wait, it's the so-called assumption that the equatorial plane is in a position, but it's not. But the assumption is that this thing is in rotation and it's in a position relative to where you are on a sphere, I guess, when you're looking at the sky. Like I can see how it's like tangled in. It's almost like when they try to separate level from uh level from, like when we say, well, it's level. Well, level with a sphere, what does that mean? It doesn't mean anything other than the language, other than what it means within the language they created, which the language would be some sort of logical fallacy anyway.
No, level does not mean anything with relation to a sphere. A sphere is dropping away at all points. A sphere is dropping away at all points. That's not level.
Yeah, we know that, but somehow, it's almost discounted but included. That's the only way you can include it. In the same way, what they're saying is what they're seeing in the sky means that there's a rotation of some sort. We don't even plane, ball, whatever it is. The assumption is that there's some sort of rotation because of what we're looking at, and they can't prove that.
Well, maybe I can help you guys a little bit, because y'all are wanting to take this to a logical place and argue it from a point of logic. It is not that. We're talking about a description. We're talking about definitions and defining is what I'm talking about. Anytime you look at level in their mathematics, right, it is a horizontal plane. Every time you look at eye level, it's a horizontal plane. You look at surface level, it's a horizontal plane. Only in their some obscure definition of level in the dictionary will you find conforming to a sphere. But it's not like that anywhere else, especially in any claims they make dealing with reality. It's not a logical argument, is my point. I'm not making an argument. You all want to make an argument. I'm not doing that. I keep telling you, you just don't get it for some reason.
Yeah, I just don't get it. You just don't get it.
All right, what's my argument then?
You tell me, bro.
I just explained this to you.
Dude, a rotation object, right? If it's rotating, it has an axis, period. The end. I don't know what's so hard about that.
Right. See the concession.
Like a bike. Like a bicycle, right?
Okay.
You go on one side of the bicycle, you turn the ball. Go on the other side of the bicycle, you have to turn it in the opposite direction. But you're still rotating it in the same direction around an axis. Now, what flat plane did you have to measure to figure that one out?
No. With an actual bicycle wheel with actual axial rotation about an axis, it's demonstrably true. Whereas when you take Earth to be a rotating plane of reference, which it is not, you have to take steps in order to make that inference. And one of those steps is measuring a plane.
Yeah, and rotation's always decided with. Rotation's always fixed to an axis. You're talking about a vertical axis with the bicycle wheel. Nice try.
We're at point 3 now, aren't we?
You're saying you have to use a plane to infer rotation from the things.
Yes.
What you have to do is you have to set up your. You don't. You have to set up your affirming the consequence. You have to set up is right. If I'm at a particular point of view rotating, then something else will appear to be this way. I see something appear to be that way. Therefore, I'm rotating. Now that I've established that I'm rotating, there must be an axis.
No, you missed what you did. You skipped by it and you never addressed it when I pointed it out to you, is what you did.
What I skipped by in particular in the premises that I laid out?
You used a vertical flat plane to assert rotation of the bicycle wheel, did you not?
What? Dude, the bicycle wheel could be in any orientation, period. Any orientation.
Right, but that orientation will be a plane, correct?
Oh my goodness, dude. It's irrelevant.
It's the main point, actually. When you say it's irrelevant, it is the point.
No, the only point is that I see it rotating. That's the only point, dude. Perception.
You can't extrapolate the nature of what's rotating. You're just making a statement of rotation. So you're now trying to
so
make
I have a
2
choice to
points.
choose. You're correct.
Yeah, you got 2 points now. Are you trying to make the point of rotation, or are you trying to make the point of nature of what's rotating? What's going to be proven moving forward at this point?
I'm seeing
Because I
it,
thought
right?
we were
I'm
dealing
seeing
with
it. So I have to
rotation.
choose. I have to choose which frame of reference I'm going to decide from which the rotation is occurring. Okay, I could take that either way. No matter which way I take it, right? I can infer an axis necessarily. It's a necessary inference. Can't be otherwise. And it requires zero reference to any planes.
No, it is a plane.
Zero.
It is. Like,
Now, you could keep saying that, dude, but notice how my logic tree necessarily concluded an axis must exist.
All right. When you're talking about the bicycle wheel, you're talking about in the vertical plane, right?
Whatever, dude. That's your claim. Actually,
Or
it's
if you
diagonal,
turn it,
so
it will be 15 degrees with relation to that plane in a, say, an orbital plane. Do you understand that?
Dude, claim now that I have an axis, right? An axis is going to have a plane upon which it rotates, right? Sure.
Yeah, there you go. So
no, but you only no.
But I don't need to measure the plane in the first instance. That's the problem.
AI, just give me a second.
No. Hold on, let me just address this, Adam. You know, if you have something that you can physically demonstrably show to be rotating about an axis, you don't have to mathematically describe anything. In that circumstance with a bicycle wheel. However, when you have something that is inferred to be rotating, then it will require a plane of reference to describe it mathematically, because you're extrapolating out a rotation by use of some... What do you mean, no?
No, you don't have to invoke a plane just because you're invoking rotation. That's AI's point, and I would agree with him.
With a bicycle wheel?
Yes. Now, there is
with anything. With anything. The only way you're going to... Right, so at the point of this supposition, we're invoking rotation, right? Now, we're going to decide what it is. Now, if we use the stars, it's at this point that we're going to invoke a plane of reference with respect to any measurement of the stars. That's when we invoke a plane of reference for any meaning to move forward. The previous statement that we've agreed on is there's a point of rotation. That's the formological fallacy. Then we're going to decide how we're going to demonstrate that rotation, and we're going to nominate the stars as a point of reference to demonstrate the rotation. That's when we invoke a plane of reference. That's when you've got your flat earth in at that point.
Let me wrap that up on that, bro.
Rotation.
Yes,
Rotation itself.
I'm going to wrap it up.
Yeah, I just want John to make his point because everyone's talking over it. John wants to reiterate his point at the point it's relevant, which is now.
Yeah, we heard his point like 500 times.
Yeah, that's fine. Y'all don't care.
Let's just hear it back.
You don't care. You've spent 7-8 years arguing this. I wouldn't want to talk about it either, I guess.
I do, John. So I've made my point up to there. Look, can you see that at the point where I concede the formological fallacy, the first point, now I'm going to say, okay, we're rotating, right? Anything could be rotating. It's just a ball rotating. I don't need a plane at the moment. I've just got a ball rotating. Now, as soon as I'm going to reference a star, be that on a flat Earth or creating a tangent plane on the ball, yeah, to reference, that's when I generate a plane of reference to something that's going to be my proof for the rotation. But I've already gone past the first point, which is the formological fallacy, before I can invoke my plane.
All right. You said you can show an axis, or it was made, the claim was made, you can show an axis without it being in relation to a plane of rotation.
No, that's what I'm saying. No,
okay,
I'm saying
so
you can't. No, let me make the point. I'm saying at that point,
I gotta go. I got one sentence out. I gotta go.
Yeah, because it was wrong.
I'm in trouble. Okay. You know what? I didn't agree with everything you said, but I didn't interrupt
But you started with the first thing you said was a misrepresentation exactly of what I said for you to address, which is why I butted in, mate.
Oh my God. Please.
I don't know
The
why you're
beginning of
doing
your
that. You've
statement,
accused me of a number of things,
I'm
and then I
trying
challenge you as
to
soon
look.
as you've
I'm
misrepresented
trying to
what I
take care
said.
of children. I'm trying to take care of children and talk to you all who are extremely
You do
triggered
that,
by me at
you
this
do that
moment.
very well every day. So there's
Please,
nothing new there.
yes, it is difficult.
Let's not use that as an excuse.
Yes, but I don't want to get irritated at my kids because you all are trying to argue a point.
Well, dude. Stop
I'm-
making it like we're responsible for your relationship with your kids, dude. Freaking man up and say your
Look,
sentence or fuck
look.
off.
No swearing. Stop it. Why are you all getting so het up over this?
Oh, I apologize.
Yeah, I'm fucking off.
Yeah,
I'd
man.
like for him to get to
why
his
are you
point
so
instead of making us feel guilty about his children.
What the hell's going
No,
on
it's
here?
just stating a fact. You're saying I don't want to get angry
freak?
because I've have to exercise my discernment about how frustrated I get with you guys. Just a statement of fact.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with Nathan.
Yeah, I'm getting extremely frustrated myself, and I've to being called a liar, cheat, and then every time I've tried to
Yeah,
make a
that's why I
salient point,
joined,
have
brother.
that
That's
point
why I joined the call.
completely.
That's why I joined the call to smack this dude around. I'm sick of that
Yeah, I
crap
don't know what's
around here.
gone off there, but I was completely misrepresented every time I'm trying to make a clear point. I appreciate John's lost the argument because he's not recognised the formal logical fallacy at the beginning. But there's no need to be like that. I don't know why you're being so aggressive and contrarian to what was being said. Oh, he's gone.
Because you're
But
inferring that it must
isn't his
have.
point? Isn't his point?
You can come with the basis
Sorry, go
assertion that Earth is turning. Just as soon as you make that basis assertion, you're going to be invoking an axis and therefore invoking a plane to describe it with respect to. That's how you can have an axis in the first instance, is what he's saying every time he got rumpused while he was trying to say
and
it.
he was wrong.
Well, that's
And he
false.
wouldn't recognise that you
don't need
do
a
not
plane.
need to invoke a plane. It's just
Yeah.
don't need
No,
it.
but it's intrinsic, isn't it? But it's intrinsic, and I thought why not?
Because it's only intrinsic for the next step. It's not intrinsic for the first step, where the formal logical fallacy has
That's
already
the
been
point.
invoked.
Let me qualify that. There's certain things that have antecedents, right? And then there's certain things that have contingents. Okay, contingents must exist simultaneously. Antecedents precede, right? And then they do exist after that, but they must exist in the first instance, right? The measurement of a plane doesn't exist in the first instance to claim rotation. Like measuring that could come much later.
It's begged into the question, though. Like it doesn't. I don't see how it comes later.
No.
But, okay. Let me read this. Let me read this from Wiki real
the
quick.
Measurement, dude.
Let me let me read this real quick. It says there must exist a line joining the center of circles and perpendicular to plane of motion of points called the axis of rotation. Like it's automatically the axis of rotation. Whatever they're doing, it's about the axis of rotation. It's already baked into the entire situation.
No, that's a plane of rotation. It's nothing to do with anything you're going to invoke later. Yeah, that plane of rotation you're not going to use, particularly on a ball, you're not going to use that plane. That's only to do with the referencing of the rotation. It's nothing to do with the surface. It's nothing to do with what you're going to invoke as proof when you invoke your plane of reference later on for proof. It's a separate plane, nothing to do with it, not required, not actually pertinent to the plane of reference that you're going to use to prove a flat Earth.
Correct. They're two different things, and to conflate the two would be probably an equivocation fallacy as well as a category error. And to try to die on that hill while calling homeboy here dishonest, right? That just pissed me off, and that's why I had to swear him. I apologize.
I think I understand. If anybody else can word it for me and the audience, just one more time so we all get it.
I'll word it for you very simply. All planes are not the Earth.
Oh yeah, right. Well, right.
It's that simple. Once you understand and comprehend that, then you can separate this plane from that plane, hyperplanes from normal planes. There's all kinds of planes that aren't the surface of the Earth. So to say, if I have a plane, therefore it's the surface of the Earth, that would be a retard statement.
But isn't this flat Earth debate? What are we debating? The nature of Earth, right?
Yeah, we're making sure, Neil,
Wow,
that when you go up against the baller, your argument is sound, logically sound. And you don't go in and invoke a plane of reference that isn't the plane of reference, first point. Yeah? As frustrating as that might be for some people to be corrected, it's not being done to anger people or humiliate them. It's because we speak up, because actually...
Yeah, you just want to refine it. You want to refine it and make sure...
Yeah,
right.
I disagree with the point, and I'm trying to give my opinion. Never, ever, and this is the same the other day, and I'm happy to give the full presentation, do I deceive? Even when I was playing the baller, every word I said was true. There was not one lie. I don't lie. So that's why I take particular offense. I don't lie, and I didn't lie. I didn't lie the other day when I did the arguments, because people don't fully grasp what they're prattling on about. They make out to do, and then situations like this, and people don't have the humility to go, oh, bloody hell, thank you.
All right, but
Yeah,
didn't we used to say you're going to need off of that?
No, I still don't understand. I still don't understand.
Yeah,
if you're referring to Earth, you're going to derive the radial value for the axis from a plane of reference. And I don't see how it's unreasonable to point that out.
Exactly.
Exactly what, Neil? Go on then, Neil. You make the point. Exactly.
I was saying, we used to say all the time, you're going to need off for that, right? But now we can't say it because there's all different planes. I'm not understanding. Don't fucking stop trying to challenge me.
Everyone stop swearing.
I missed half the thing anyway,
Neil,
all right?
Yeah, you're so far
but it
away
seems
from
like
the
he's
argument.
ganging up on...
No.
All I know is right from the beginning, if you're going to need off of that, you're going to need a plane of reference which the church which you're standing on. We all are standing on Earth.
Brilliant.
That's what
there it is. Stop, Neil. Neil, you've done what you needed to do. You got it out. Now we can respond to it. Go ahead. You got what you wanted from me.
Brilliant,
Said it.
If you're going to invoke an R, then that's the plane of reference in relation to your Earth, isn't it? You're going to invoke rotation. The plane of reference for rotation has got nothing to do with the Earth's surface. Got nothing. It's literally just the construct that you put in the rotation in.
I didn't understand that one bit.
On that, maybe right.
Yeah,
but at least you recognise that.
I don't understand that either. I still don't understand it.
AI, can maybe you?
Yeah, because the plane, because the Earth is not really it. In the most linguistic terms, the Earth is not a plane. It depends on the context we're talking about. It's not, the Earth is not a straight line.
That wasn't helpful. Earth is referred to...
You're going to reference everything to Earth, right?
Yeah, this isn't helpful, you two. Thank you. AI's just been asked if he can clarify. Do you want to, Adam, ask him what he's clarifying?
Sorry.
That's been lost in Eli and Neil.
That's okay. Take a chill.
Let's beat him up, Neil.
Well, there's nothing to beat up. You guys have just said I don't understand the point you're making. So now let's try and clarify the point, eh? AI, what I'm trying to make the differentiation of here is just because we've invoked a plane in our imaginary setup, whether that be a pizza pie or a ball, that plane of rotation has got nothing to do with the plane of surface that we're going to invoke to reference any elevation angle that's going to destroy them. Can we get that point on? That whilst the words are the same, plane, they're two very different things in the same construct. And when we first set up the first plane, it doesn't necessarily mean get the second plane.
I have no idea what you're talking about. Go on now.
I'm really
it's like the bicycle tire.
Go on.
I'm lost.
Everybody else, stop. Second time's a charm for AI. Go ahead.
Was I wrong then? I don't get.
So when I described the bicycle tire, when you have the bolts on the side, everybody knows it's righty tighty, lefty loosey. But when you go to the other side, it's righty loosey, lefty tighty, right? Now that's because you're rotating them around the center axis. Now, when the bicycle tire is rotating, when I mentioned it, the guy I mentioned it to assumed it was vertical. Now, check this out. Vertical is a particular orientation in relation to the Earth. Now, that bicycle tire, when I described it, could have been at any infinite permutation of orientations relative to any other object. So the plane of the bicycle tire's rotation is one plane, and its reference to the Earth is another plane. And the angles from the Earth to it would be where your argument lies.
I get it. I get it now with the bicycle tire.
Okay, well, let me just put this to you. Yes, I appreciated that when you said it the first time. But what I understood John's point to be was, regardless of which plane you're describing, if Earth is the context, it's always going to be described with its axis. And that specific axis is going to be derived from a horizontal plane of reference. Am I wrong, first and foremost?
No, you're not wrong. No, he's not wrong. It's just that horizontal plane of reference, that first one, has got nothing to do with the surface and the nature of Earth.
For the bicycle wheel.
For the bike, it's got nothing to do with the bike. It's just the plane of rotation.
Yeah, okay, that's where we got to last time. It just descended into chaos last time. Yes, and I responded. Yeah, I understand.
Go ahead.
That for the bicycle wheel example, when you just describe it with an axis rotating, you could describe its infinitely permeable axis, which hasn't been defined yet, or Earth's plane of reference to describe it with respect to. And the bicycle wheel in isolation doesn't need to be referenced to any orientation when you describe it as having an axis. I get all of that. But Earth specifically will.
When you then
why? There's a very important reason why. There's a very important reason why it must be. What you did say, and I don't think you realize that you described a particular type of plane. Because if the Earth is just an object floating in free space, right, like the bicycle tire, and you have a plane through it, we define that, right, if I'm holding it in a skewed orientation, we define it as diagonal, right? But how are we defining it as diagonal relative to horizontal, right? But horizontal isn't just any plane. It's a particular orientation plane. It's the base plane from which we get all other knowledge about angles from. Horizontal is a specific plane. It's not just any plane. It's not just a plane that's oriented this way. No, horizontal is the plane that matches the surface of the Earth.
Yeah.
Yeah, the claim on the table is that the Cartesian system is rotating.
Yeah, that's John's. That's the whole point being argued about, though.
Right. So that first plane of rotation has got nothing to do with what you've just all agreed with.
With the bicycle wheel in isolation, not Earth.
Yeah, it's nothing to do with the surface. It's nothing to do with the plane that you're going to use to reference to destroy them and go, you'll need a flat Earth for that. That first plane could be flat, could be round, could be hexagonal, could be. There's nothing there that defines shape or nature of the surface. It's got nothing to do with the nature. It's to do with the 3D free space of what's rotating.
Yeah, right? Which is going to be but that's going to be
then you're on a ball.
But then then you're on a ball.
Yeah, and that's that, and there you go. So that's my point. But then when you get on that ball, you're then going to set up another plane of reference, which is the one from reality, not the one you've just imagined. Yeah, it's the one from reality that you're going to then take that elevation angle. What you then do with it, based on that plane, how you put that plane on a ball and then put that rotating ball on the separate rotating plane.
That's incorrect.
Is what happened.
That's wrong. No, that's wrong. You're saying that there's no reference to the plane that's been begged the question of, therefore it's only right to attract the fallacy. That seems like the correct order. But in order to start with the fallacy of the ball that you're going to affirm the consequent with, you've got to derive a radial value from Earth as a horizontal plane of reference to get that axis to infer. That's John's point, and he's right.
No.
Yeah, he is.
And that's what I said.
You don't need a radial value here. We're not trying to define R. We're just invoking rotation.
No. That's inferred the moment you say Earth is rotating. That's immediately inferred.
But you don't need to quantify it. You can just imply it.
Yeah,
So
they
you don't need to know
do.
the
That's
number
the
of R.
point. They
Well,
do when we're arguing about Earth. That's the
We skipped the
point.
step.
No, you don't.
Listen, we skipped the step. We all skipped the step, right? Rotation doesn't infer globe. Okay? You have to add that step in.
Yeah, and that's the only way this argument makes sense, AI. From your perspective, that's the only way this argument makes sense. That's why John was getting argumentative and calling Adam a liar, because he's saying at the point that you detach it from Earth as a rotating argument and say it doesn't necessarily refer to anything specifically when we describe an axis and its rotation. Yeah, that might work for a bicycle wheel, but we're arguing about Earth.
Brilliant. And that's what we're doing. And when you argue about Earth, what you end up doing is setting up two planes, your first plane of rotation and then your second reference plane that you're going to take and assume the angles you've taken from reality you're going to attribute to that second plane.
Second time you've done this.
Not
I said
the
that's
first plane.
Okay, the second time we're doing it. And I said, no. The moment you're talking about Earth in the discussion, you're going to derive an axis from the plane of reality that is Earth to give you that radial value for the axis before you affirm the consequent.
No, you don't need a radial value. You just need to assume.
You don't have to do it that way. You can do it either way. Listen, you can argue either way.
You're both saying the same thing, one or the other. Who wants to take it? I can hear you both saying the same thing.
You go, AI.
Okay, if you have the radius first, which you derived from, let's say, the sun angles, like Aristophanes, right? Or you say, okay, I have a ball. Now that I've established I have a ball, now I'm going to look at the rotating bodies and make certain inferences, right? Or you could just look up and be like, I see the stars rotate. I know from different points of view, you could be rotating or the object could be rotating. So I'm just going to choose that I'm rotating. Either way, you could end up at I'm rotating, right? So one way you can establish a particular orientation of the axis, and the other way you could just establish a necessary inference that an axis must exist. But you don't have to do it either. You choose which way you want to argue that.
Yeah, and I'm not saying I would choose either way, because the opponent sets which choice they make in terms of the argument that they make, don't they? Let's be honest, we can't tell them which way they've got to swing in this regard, can we? We take what we get.
Right, but I will point out, I got everybody settled on this end, that when you're talking about an axis of rotation, in the second one specifically, like a bicycle wheel, a ball, you're detaching yourself from reality altogether. That spin will always be in a plane of reference. Now, it's not necessarily a horizontal plane of reference. Like if you tilt it, that's where you'll get like an elliptical plane.
Okay. It's been a great show. Just let chocolate in. Hello, chocolate.
Yeah, great how they made an easy argument so freaking difficult.
Well, it's not that it's difficult. There's aspects of this that I am almost certain I am not understanding fully. Now, if that's the case, in other words, if I'm second-guessing what I think I understand, there's a good chance I don't understand it fully. Now, I'm not embarrassed to admit that. Now, if the nuance needs to be reiterated 16 times, so be it. We're not training to time, are we? If we don't get it, John and I are going to take the onus on us as being assumed to be incorrect, because that's the assumption by Adam and AI. Then fine. We'll go through it until we do understand, or prove you wrong, and say that no, you're going to need an axis referred to as the plane that we actually exist on to derive Earth as a sphere with an axis to rotate about when you look up at the stars to affirm the consequent that Earth is a sphere, and because it is rotating, we see the stars moving. So
that's the thing right there, bro.
Go on.
But
it's the plane.
Hold on, John. AI first. AI first.
Surface. You have to coordinate the plane that you're referring to being the Earth's surface itself. That's the link you have to make if you argue it from that way. Otherwise, if you argue it from the other way, you just have to infer rotation. And once you infer rotation, the necessary contingencies of rotation automatically exist if your first premise is true. Which, by the way, is affirming the consequent doesn't make your argument necessarily false. It just makes it a possibility, not an absolute necessity.
Okay. Go ahead, John.
That has to be contingent upon the ground you're standing on, right? That's what you just said. Now, you hold that basketball up and you turn it in different planes of rotation, and whichever orientation you choose to hold it, which is always a plane, right? What have you done there? What have you done at that moment?
They've already taken it away from this by taking it to an example with a bicycle wheel that has no inferred plane required. And I've conceded that and gone with a basketball in space. Space as the heliocentric idea of nothingness exists.
Yeah, that's what I'm using. I'll use a globe even. Okay, you got a globe in front of you, and you're just holding it out in front of you. Okay, and you're spinning it upon an axis. Now, where is your plane of reference in that? Is there one? Is the point is there's not, or is there?
Oh, yeah.
It's just
perpendicular to the axis of rotation, dude. It's called perpendicular to the axis of rotation. Yes.
That's fine. Fine. Yes. Right now, are you inside that sphere, looking up at the stars, or are you on the surface looking up?
No, I'm from a frame of reference where I can identify the 2 points being the axis of rotation and perpendicular to it.
Right. See,
so on the Earth you don't have that. On the Earth you don't have that, so you got to use inferences.
You're either going to put yourself at the equatorial plane on top of a sphere to describe this, or you're going to put yourself at the center of a sphere to describe this, which is the equatorial plane anyway. So, do you not get it now?
Dude, the Earth is a cube.
No, don't take it into farce.
No,
I'm serious. I'm dead serious.
Of those places. You put in yourself. You've got your plane of rotation. You then put your ball on that. You then place yourself, creating a tangent plane on the surface of the ball. That tangent, that plane, then moves through 3D space in relation to the tangent plane and the plane of rotation. That's what you've created there by taking, the second plane of reference, which is your real flat Earth elevation angle, and applying it to your primary plane of rotation.
All of this for you guys to describe an axis to me, right?
Why did I say the Earth is a cube in response to your statement?
Let's say that. There's obviously more to that. Fine. Why did you say Earth's a cube? Go ahead.
Because rotation, from your vantage point, right? When you see something moving above you that appears to be moving in a circular fashion and you assume rotation, right? You could pick either reference to say I'm rotating or it's rotating, right? The object I'm standing on could be any infinite permutation of shape. To then infer globe, you need extra information that's not given in just the object rotating. That's when you start getting angles and references and curves and tangents and all those things.
Right. I've already dealt with that, though.
Exist if it's rotating.
I've already dealt with that when I said you can either put yourself at the center of that sphere of rotation and to describe it from the equatorial plane, or like Adam said, and I said also, you can assume that the tangent plane on top, the equatorial plane, is the plane in which I'm referring to all this from. But I'm still using a plane, ain't I?
But yeah, which is not the surface of the Earth.
Can I address that one? So when you take it to your center of the Earth, that's another that's 2 steps forward, 1 step back, isn't it? So you've assumed
Hold on, John. Just let him get it all out. Go ahead, Adam.
You've assumed that you've got your first plane, which is your plane of rotation. You've assumed your second plane, which is your plane of reference, your flat Earth elevation angles. You've then taken that plane of reference and transferred it to the center of a ball, creating a third plane of reference, which in of itself, again, doesn't necessarily match up. It can be an angle to the plane of reference. It doesn't have to be sitting horizontal to the plane of reference. So you're still going to create a different point. By taking it to the center, let me be more succinct, you create another third convoluted paradigm, which is prerequisite of the other two.
Right. They do that. That is the steps they go about to take celestial navigation to the center of a sphere. That they do that. That is exactly how they do it.
Yeah, but what they're saying, John, is they don't have to, and there could be a point in the argument where they haven't inferred any derivation of a horizontal reference plane to state that Earth is turning. They're saying you can just affirm the consequent. Therefore, to attack it on the basis that it requires a plane is unreasonable. My response, no, the axis itself was derived from the plane.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. But like, even in the red herring that we're dealing with now, the descriptions require flat planes.
Axis.
To talk
axis
about an
isn't
axis
implied.
Hold on, John. Hold on.
Implied from a plane.
Go on, AI.
An axis isn't implied from a plane, right? An axis is implied from rotation.
Yeah.
Right?
And Earth
Planes
is,
exist without
yes.
axes.
Yeah, and Earth's
in a sense of a rotational axis.
Yeah, and Earth is inferred to be the thing claimed to be provable as having that axis with rotation. Derivable from a flat plane when they have an axis. In this instance, therefore, you will need a flat plane for it. Seems like perfectly reasonable as a starting point.
Let's take that. Yeah, let's take that to the example of the globe that Homeboy said we're holding out in front of us. So if I take that globe, right, and it's attached on those little C-shaped things with the pins at the bottom and the top, so you can spin it with your hands. I could clearly see where the axis of rotation is. I can then create a center point, right, and a plane that's perpendicular that represents that axis of rotation.
Right.
Now notice how when I'm looking at that globe in my hands, the surface of the globe is not the plane from which I'm referencing.
I agree. And that's only true with this example or the bicycle wheel example. When it is a globe held out in front of you, it demonstrably can have an axis that doesn't need reference to anything to describe it as having it. However, for Earth, that is not the case. We're not holding out a globe that's spinning, in the case of Earth, derived and described as having an axis of rotation that has been derived from a flat plane. Therefore, before you affirm the consequent, you've got to have an axis for the Earth that will need a derivation from a flat plane. Therefore, that is the correct starting point before you point out the affirming the consequent, as far as I and John are concerned.
And me. That's what I'm thinking.
That's fine, but you're both wrong. So whatever.
Well, I don't understand why I'm wrong.
I don't know. We explained it to you that you can argue it in the reverse, so it's not necessary to start there. You guys are saying you have to start there. It's just not true.
But they do start there because they're talking about Earth with an axis, as opposed to a globe held out in front of you, or a bicycle wheel held out in front of you, or a spinning basketball. That is not what's the case when it's Earth in the argument, is it?
Oh, they all have axis. If it's all things being equal, right?
Isn't it the first bit? Say again.
They would all have an axis, right?
If I hold a globe out and then create a plane, stick a ruler on the side of that globe, the plane of rotation's got nothing to do with what I'm going to do in reality. I've had to pre-assume everything. And you see, this thing started out with, I asked for clarity. What are they going to use and present as evidence to move forward with the claim that we're rotating?
Well, in your example, they've got to hold Earth physically out in front of them to show its axis, to say that they haven't got to infer a flat plane to say it's got an axis. That's what's got to go down for your example to hold true.
So they're going to show that Earth rotating by, and they spin the globe. And you say, well, that's what you're going to demonstrate to me then, isn't it? And they say, yes. And I say, how are you going to demonstrate that then?
Okay, by comparison to the globe that they're now holding out in front of them and spinning and saying, this globe in front of me has a demonstrable axis that I don't need a flat plane to derive, and Earth is the same as that. I've never heard that as an argument, but that does take it to that place, Adam. Well done.
Well, I'm not saying, what would a glober say? If the globe, I've just said to the glober, so you're going to demonstrate to me that Earth's rotating, and the glober says, yes. I say, okay then. This is not my claim, is it? So I'm asking you, what will the glober say? What's the glober going to go to? What's his to demonstrate that Earth's rotating?
Parallax.
Well, hold on. In the example,
and then if that's
the globe out in front of you.
Nathan, if he does that,
I want to hear the interjection, though. I'm really sorry. I'm tracking with you, Adam. Go ahead, John. What was your interjection?
Right. When you hold that globe out in front of you and you say that you don't need a horizontal plane of reference, that's exactly right. What will be derivative is the plane of reference 90 degrees to the axis of rotation to give you R value. That's the
not going to
plane you'll be
necessarily be
referencing.
at 90 degrees to the axis of rotation. Depending on your latitude, it's going to be.
There it is. It's screwed every time, right, John? Let's just drill this home now, right, Adam? But it depends on your latitude when you're talking about Earth specifically as a sphere. Go ahead, John.
Yes, your plane of reference.
John, that's what he needed, and now he's going to go from there. Thank you, Adam. Go ahead, John.
Just don't get it.
Yeah, latitude's an angle measurement from the surface of Earth to Polaris. Where are you getting latitude from, baller?
I'm not a baller. I'm trying to ask what the baller.
But you're in that position. Come on, play fair.
You guys are putting words in the baller's mouth to make the conversation go this way, which is what I just said. Now, if you'd have said parallax, it's a very different conversation that we're having. Yeah, we can go straight to it. Yeah, I'm happy to do that. I'd go straight to elevation, but that's not what was put in front of us. It's not what we've responded to. We were put that the baller's going to say stars moving. Okay, that's where this thing spawned from. So we can't keep reconstructing how it's going to start. That's how it started. Stars moving. That's what we responded to. That's why we said form a logical fallacy is the first point. If you go to parallax, then plane of reference is exactly spot on. Because to make those differentials, you're only referencing that. But that's not the case if they're going to say stars moving in the sky.
Right, stars moving in the sky.
You know what,
Hold on, John. Sorry to cut you off again. Go ahead, AI. Then John.
I thought of a way this is salient from our arguments throughout the past is that sometimes what a glober would hear is, globes can't rotate. That's what they'll think that the flat earther is trying to say, that none of these objects can be measured in practicality, like the globe you're holding out in front of your hands. But they're like, well, surely I can measure it. But they're always imagining themselves in that, Muppet view vantage point. And so you got to bring them down to what they're referencing. It's like, look, you don't have this object in your hands in total. You're making these inferences, comparing the thing you're standing on to this object you're holding in your hand, and you're using these reference lines or reference points or reference planes to make these assertions. But where are you getting those from? Right? Because if you don't take them down that path, they're just going to think you're saying something absurd. Like, I'm holding a JLabs little microphone thing in my hand. It's an object, and I'm rotating it. And they're like, well, you're telling me this object can't rotate unless I reference a flat Earth? I mean, get real.
No.
If that's the way you're coming off to this,
we've conceded that. We keep conceding that. Like with the ball example that's held out in front of you in the case of a globe that's physically in front of you, or a bicycle wheel, or in this case, I've forgotten what the example you just gave is. But in all instances, I would fundamentally agree with you that you don't need a flat Earth to describe that axis. But it's demonstrably in front of you with an axis, unlike a ball Earth when it's claimed to be rotating about an axis.
As soon as you try to describe it, you are going to need a flat Earth. Yeah?
They do! That's the bloody point! Oh my God. That's the point.
Only when you're trying to describe it from stage 2, which is in reality, making references to reality to fulfill your description. Yeah? That's when you need a flat Earth. And like I said, stage 1, you've already committed a formal logical fallacy. That's why you don't need a flat Earth here.
But my point was, the descriptions themselves. My point, though, is the descriptions themselves. That was my point to begin with. I said that when you try to describe it, you're going to need a flat Earth.
No, but
Why am I getting such blowback? And now you're saying you don't after it's conceding you do.
He's saying you don't until you try and describe it, which was your point, John.
No, that's wrong too. You can describe it all day long, imagining the Earth in the same vantage point that you're holding the object. It's when you try to qualify it in tangible reality that you're going to run into your problems.
So, okay, no, I can concede that. If there's just a straight up begging the question, affirming the consequent fallacy, that would have to be pointed out first. If there's no connection whatsoever being elucidated to, and it is just straight up, well, I know we are turning. No reference to ball, no R value, just we are turning because I look up at the stars. That's enough straight up affirming the consequent. And if the overall subject matter is the Earth's a sphere and they don't even mention it, then you can just go straight to the fallacy and point it out in the first instance. But if they're trying to prove that Earth's a sphere radius 3959 with us, about an axis moving, and then using the stars in and affirming the consequent, I think that pointing out that you're going to need a flat plane to assert that sphere-based radial axis is the first point, not the second, Adam.
If you're trying to say it again, if you're trying to, because you've changed the question. So say if you're trying to prove.
If you're trying to prove Earth is a sphere radius value with a radial value to derive an axis to rotate about, and then within that claim that Earth is a sphere with a radial value to infer an axis to rotate about, which they would never disclaim in that nature, and then go on to say, because we see the stars rotating above us, in other words, it's contextualized around a ball on Earth, not without any particular example of what's spinning, just affirming the consequent. If it's not, but it is specifically describing how Earth's a ball and we've got an axis, because that's the overriding claim, then you're going to need a flat Earth is the first point, because to make that point in the P statement needs a flat Earth. Before you get to if P, then Q, you've got the if P, and that needs a flat Earth.
What so are you making the claim that there's a definable R value, or just that there's a point of rotation?
The moment they claim Earth has an axis of rotation, they are pegged to needing a flat Earth to claim it for Earth.
Because of an R value?
Because of the axis of rotation for Earth, yes.
No.
Okay, but check it out. Check it out, Holmes. When you said something to Adam, Adam asked you to re-clarify. When you re-clarify, you changed the term. And the first time you explained it, you said they needed a flat plane. The second time you said it, they needed a flat Earth. You have to link those two together, because everyone would agree, I would think, Glober and flat Earth are alike, that an axis of rotation necessarily has a perpendicular plane to the center of the axis of rotation, right? That's necessary. The only question is that the surface of the Earth? Because if you say, I need a flat plane for rotation, of course, that's obvious. That's a contingent part of
I take that totally on the chin. No, you are correct.
Now you have to...
I agree. Again, that's within your point as well, which is to say that it has to be referenced back to Earth specifically by the opponent in order for me to say, no, when you made that measurement, you'll need a flat Earth for that, as opposed to you'll need a plane of reference. So now I'll take that on the chin. That was my bad phraseology, and you're right.
Where do you get a plane of reference on a sphere, though?
They don't. They need a flat Earth for that.
Exactly.
Well, you just imagine that you're rotating, then you have this axis, right? And then you just imagine the perpendicular plane, and then you just imagine that you're taking angles from the center of the Earth, because you drilled down further than the Kola super deep borehole with your super sextant.
Yeah, that's a different argument that you might have to overcome in those circumstances. And yes, again, you can, if you're listening to this as a baller, listen to the pitfalls that you'll have to negotiate to find your way to inferring a ball without stating it outright, and then weaseling in and affirming the consequent without anybody noticing. I mean, there's a lot of pitfalls that you're going to have to go through just to claim you're on a ball. I mean, it's a nightmare. It's not really our problem, but it is nice to really peg down where those pits are. I still feel not 100% clear.
I just want to make another point.
I got an ace in my sleeve, which is just my photos of Earth from space. Problem solved. Y'all can suck it.
Okay.
Nathan, I said a word earlier in the chat, and you all jumped on it. I said the word latitude. Oh, you need a flat. I'm just using the word so when I'm referencing something, we can understand it. Yeah, longitude and latitude. So we're positioning things on a ball now. Yeah. So yes, to make that assumption, I do need a flat Earth. But if we can just assume the reference point, if I'm then going to put myself on this ball with this longitudes and latitudes, then my point of rotation changes on all of those. And I'm no longer at 45 or 90 perpendiculars. I can be at 33s, 28s, all of those things. The initial plane of reference has got nothing to do with the surface at all when I'm setting that first
we got
plane.
That.
Yeah. And that's why when you go to the next one, it's a completely different thing. Yeah. And it's specific to the nature of the surface. And that's what you're having to do, which is where the referencing to reality takes place. And that's where you need a flat Earth for that.
You're confusing things. We're saying we and they. It's always they. It's always the baller in this context. But yes, absolutely, Adam.
Yeah, sorry.
But that's why I said this is a conclusion that we've drawn from information. There's no like logic that you really have to use. It's just how definitions work. Is my point. Anytime they want to tie one of their claims to reality and what we experience.
Whoa. I got a question.
God. Now interruptions are coming from Huey. I'm going to do some super chat shout outs. Then Huey can presumably deviate somewhere else. Right. A couple of shout outs first, and then Huey, you've got the floor. Shout out to Tom. He says, shout out to Refracted True Goat. Thank you for the super chat. Really appreciate the support. And my penance from Theo Megawerty. He says, my penance for swearing. Good show, Nathan. Thank you very much indeed. Really appreciate all the support. I just want to make one other little note, just because I changed some settings on the fly. And if something does happen to fail, which I hope it doesn't, I just want to know what I've last changed. So then you can go ahead, QE. A total non sequitur from my part on a live show, no less. Anyway, I've changed my settings to 13,500 kbps at medium quality with HVEC encoding via QuickSync on the iGPU. That's it. Thank you. Go ahead, QE.
Got a question. How much for an order of ribs?
I'm going to get you, sucker. It's such a great movie. That's Chris. Is it Chris Rock that did that scene? It's Chris Rock, isn't it?
I'll take one.
Yeah.
Yes.
The hustle is he goes in. He asks for how much for the ribs, right? And the guy explains how much an order of ribs is, which is like 12 ribs. So a dozen ribs costs $5, say. And the guy's like, no. How much for one rib? And the guy's like, it's not worth me firing up the broiler for one rib. What are you talking about? So he's like, well, I'm really hungry. And so the guy says, okay, fine.
I'm hungry.
So yeah, I sure am hungry. So he says, right, one rib to the chef. So the chef starts making. Then they have a little discussion about whether or not he can have a drink out of his hands if he just pours the soda straight into his hands, right? The gag being, when it comes to him paying for his one rib, he pulls out this pocket full of change and hasn't quite got the dollar that they've agreed to. So he asks the guy behind the till if he's got change for 100 after pulling out a wodge of about $5,000.
21 of $5,000.
You got change for 100? Arguing over $1 worth of ribs, and he's got $5,000 in his top pocket.
How much for a cup? Fuck the cup, pour it in my hand for a dime.
That's it. Pour it in my cup. Pour it in my hand for a dime. Grabs him by the collar and he's like, look. Yeah, I'm going to get you, sucker. Get shot in the foot, and there's like one of the worst practical effects where they've got this, instead of the foot just being shot off, his toe becomes 50 times its normal size, bursting out the shoe. He's like, my bunions, man, my bunions. Oh, funny film. And Cherry. Do you remember Cherry? These eyes aren't really green.
What?
Oh, no, you'd have to see it.
The real problem out the gate is that ballers And flat earthers alike just don't want to accept that we don't have to go beyond fallacious reasoning. Like, it's a long-winded game of, okay, let's pretend that you didn't commit that logical fallacy. It's whack.
No, that's not. I heard what I just heard. We're not going to pretend anything.
I don't think it's me and Nathan's position that you shouldn't point out logical fallacies when they use them. But I don't think either one of us are trying to say don't ever do that.
I wouldn't trust the word Nathan says now. I've just seen him taking shrooms.
No, but not even directed at any of you guys. I just think this entire conversation in general would be completely boring and done if the world were a better place and we didn't accept logical fallacies in general.
I know exactly what you mean when you say that. But let's all pretend you did just commit fallacious reasoning. Yeah. Let's just pretend and just keep the conversation going, right? Just to keep it going, just for the sake of it, when it should have been dead and buried.
Right, but if they use a logical fallacy, which they will, it's inevitable. You can point it out. That's absolutely, you should point it out to show them that their position is void. But they've also, in trying to link it back to reality, they've needed a flat Earth for that.
What? Their position isn't void. Their argument is void.
Correct.
So many
said it earlier,
logical fallacies carry.
Well, and I'll just reiterate something you said earlier, which is to say that just because they've used fallacious reasoning doesn't necessarily mean that their point is incorrect. And to assert that it is ipso facto incorrect based on the logical fallacy use would be the fallacy, right? Now, you did go through this on... We still are live, actually. I'm just testing my RGPU settings for this encoder live. So anyway, we're still live. But on this live stream, you pointed that out, right? You didn't point out the fallacy if you infer that, well, simply because you've used an invalid argument, i.e. a fallacy, then your argument is ipso facto wrong. But in order to claim fallacy, you've got to actually show that the position is true. In other words, yeah, you might have affirmed the consequent, but it still might be true. Okay, well, let's move on. That argument, as you rightly point out, is void. So you can't keep rinsing and repeating it. You've got to then show by another means that what you've claimed is true, not the same means. But that argument to claim as true what you state is true is void if a fallacy's been employed.
Right, and as far as, you're right, I said that incorrectly.
No, that wasn't you. It was nobody said anything incorrectly. It's just that... Oh, yes, about saying the position is void. Yeah, the argument's void. That's just a misspeak, though.
Yeah, but their position about that argument being tied to reality, they're going to use a flat Earth to tie it to reality every time, as far as I've seen so far.
Well, just by saying the word globe, pretty much. Because where did they get the globe from?
From a flat Earth. We've got to,
there you go.
This is a. I can see from an external point of view how anybody listening to this can go light back with science and scientific method and asking for an independent variable. Sorry to always reference your Spurs if you're listening, but it's a dangerous game if you get it wrong, and it can lead to abject humiliation and the incorrect position that you've asserted being highlighted over and over again. Case in point, Spurs. So I appreciate this refinement. If we're going to go around declaring that you're going to need a flat Earth for that, the audience, if nothing else, needs to appreciate that that is a dangerous game and you really need to have the right hand to play it.
I don't think today was one of them. I thought today was just uber refinement, uber geekiness in terms of nitpicking. Yeah, but nitpicking for our strengths, not for anything else, just showing the fine detail that we've got in the argument.
And it's not to underestimate the power of pointing out fallacious reasoning. If that is the prima facie use in argumentation that they've got, then you've got to take it apart on that, because that's what's being done. I.e., affirming the consequent if that's what they're doing. You say, no. That is just a void argument. Now, if you then get onto another claim to be globe proof that does infer a use of a claim to be globe Earth, that they're going to need a radial value derived from a flat plane to get, then you can start pointing that out. But you guys are right. If on its face it is just an affirming the consequent form of logical fallacy, that is the argument route that you take apart. No matter what they do before or after, if that's what they're doing. I agree.
I'm not
Right, but how often do they make...
Next time, I'll leave you to it.
Well, hold on. How many times do they make claims and not try to tie them to the Earth?
Well, they do it surreptitiously. That's the problem, isn't it? We talked about this in the pre-show as well when we were talking about them inferring that we've got a physical geometric sphere edge, formerly known as Earth curve, when they talk about the horizon. But they don't say, my inference is that this is the leading edge, hill, getting in the way of stuff. They don't say that. They just say the horizon. Well, does the horizon, as a linguistic tool, infer anything globy? Well, no, but that's intentional.
Right. That's why when they say things like the horizon, the follow-up is, what about it?
Exactly. Unless they're actually defining what they're claiming. We get it all.
Have a horizon on a globe.
Your son does this all the time, Neil. He's a great example. He'll give you half an affirming the consequent, or he'll say something that's the Q statement in affirming the consequent without even claiming it's proving a globe. They'll just say, well, the stars rotate. You go,
Yeah, they do that all the time.
They just throw out.
And then if you push them to make a claim, they'll say, I'm not saying this is
I've triggered
true.
Neil there, Eli. Just one sec, Neil. Then Eli, then Neil. I was actually addressing Eli, but talking about you, Neil. It's my bad. Go ahead, Eli, then Neil.
No, that's their game, because anything that you bring up, they preface it with, well, this isn't actually proof for a flat Earth, like by itself necessarily, but it's just evidence.
A globe.
But that itself is a baseless assertion, not a fallacy.
Well, Craig did that the other day. Well, I'm not saying this proves it. It's just evidence. Like those two are synonyms, you dick.
Well, like in your example where you're holding up the globe and spinning it, right? Are you observing the stars rotate from the plane of reference inside the globe?
Let's get back to Eli's point about
what globe?
Well, when they bring up the horizon. As soon as they do that, are you familiar with the slope of dope? You've been keeping up with flat Earth debate.
I just inferred that. That's what I was talking about.
Elijah.
Yeah. You hear me?
No? Barely.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I heard it.
All right, fair enough.
But when they say horizon, are you talking about where they draw out surface level as a horizontal plane, and then your eye line is going to a point below surface level to that horizon?
Can't have a horizon on a globe.
Gotta love it.
You know, further. You can't. Hold on, friend.
Of course you can.
Can't.
Just limited.
Can't have anything. You can't have anything horizontal on the globe. Nothing. Not one thing ever.
That's not what I said. I said you can have an horizon. I would have to concede that on a globe it would have to be bendy.
But that's not the definition of horizon.
No, the horizon, if you want to try to describe it.
Horizon.
The trouble is, you see, you're looking in the axis where it'd be very hard to distinguish.
No, see, the thing is if you're talking about the horizon on a globe, you're going to have to define surface level as a horizontal plane, right?
Yep.
It's in the math. Surface level is a horizontal plane. You can't get away from that.
It's in the game.
See, as soon as we're in reality, you
Yeah,
can just
so
drop it straight away. The word horizontal, it relates to
so
reality. You've got them. But
right, so
you
define horizontal then.
It's in their math. It's flat. It's a
I
flat
don't know.
plane.
Just define it. Oh, listen, dude. A flat plane could be in any infinite permutations of orientation, right? So horizontal is a particular orientation, right?
Surface level in their math is a horizontal flat plane.
Okay, so you parsed it out with the term horizontal rather than just flat plane, right? So it wasn't sufficient to say flat plane. You had to add the word horizontal. So what does adding the word horizontal change about the nature of a flat plane?
It makes its orientation horizontal.
Yes, it fixes it to a particular orientation. Out of an infinitude of orientations, it reduces it to one singular orientation, correct?
Can a horizon exist below surface level as defining the horizon?
No, how could you define it? Well,
It's a pretty,
I mean, I don't even
simple
know.
question.
I don't even know.
It's complicated.
Without invoking horizontal, can the horizon exist
What's
below
horizontal
surface
is a
level?
question on the table. You don't seem to be able to answer it, so I'm struggling here.
Can the horizon exist below surface level?
Yo, bro, what is a horizontal plane versus a flat plane? What's the difference?
What's the difference between synonyms?
The definite orientation.
Dude, they're not
The definite
synonyms.
orientation, because for example, the bike situation, and then you have things that you have in reference to the Earth's horizontal.
No, a plane. There is a plane you can have that's not flat. But the moment you say flat,
but he said, what's the difference between a plane and a horizontal? Like a plane can be in any orientation.
Bro, this bro trying too hard, Elijah.
But the thing is,
it's so simple, dude. It's not a complicated question.
What's the difference between horizontal and flat? Is that what your question is?
What is the difference? Okay, I'm going to ask my question one more time since it's very hard for you to follow along for some reason. What is the difference between a flat plane and a horizontal plane?
Specificity of orientation.
Right, but flat automatically, and when you're talking about the surface, invokes orientation. So I don't know. What is the difference? Tell me.
A surface, I'll tell you, dude. Check this out. I have a flat plane in my hand right now. It's a pin. I'm holding it in an infinite amount of permutations, just rotating it in my fingers. Stop me. Say stop when I reach horizontal.
It's not flat at that point. It's sloping. It's sloping.
Bro,
it's deviating.
You're almost as bad as Bev right now, Holmes. Dude, what am I talking to Bev?
I said it's specificity of orientation.
Right. Which orientation is that?
Right. If you're holding a whiteboard, right, are you talking about its orientation when you say it's flat, or if you lay it flat on the ground? It depends. The word itself and the context it's used in can change.
Flat.
But now, if you're talking about,
I thought I was talking to somebody who understood horizontal. I mean, I don't get it.
Yeah, if it's horizontal, it's in the only orientation it could be called horizontally placed.
Right.
It's in the word, right?
Hold on.
I'm gonna ask Elijah since I don't want to keep pulling teeth here because I want to see if he can answer it. And then, by all means, John, you go ahead. Elijah, horizontal is orientated to what?
The Earth.
The Earth's just surface.
Horizon.
Right? There you go. So it's a particular plane with a particular orientation, which is, yes, a flat plane as well.
But that's what we're talking about. That's why this whole thing's confusing me. Because I think we're on flat Earth debate, and we're all referencing the Earth that we dwell atop.
Well, dude.
Well, see, that's the thing.
Listen to me. If somebody tells me that a flat plane is necessarily horizontal, they're just wrong. I mean, I don't get it. They're wrong. Period.
Oh yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, because something could be flat and vertical. I agree.
Well, that's in relation to itself, not as the orientation. The orientation, right? So, like, if you're talking about level, is that flat?
Yeah, that was
Not necessarily,
right
no.
there. That's a hit him with the wall chocolate bullshit. That's bullshit.
Yeah, he said that.
Exactly. That's what I said.
Because flat is horizontal. Yeah, it's axiomatic.
What?
Wait a second. You're telling me, hold on, I can't have a flat wall when I'm taping my wall and getting it smooth? I can't have a flat wall, and that's vertical, isn't it?
It's not flat. It's smooth, but it ain't flat. It ain't horizontal.
Oh, okay. I got you. I got you.
Right. That we were talking about. That's why I said you're talking about slope and you're confusing it with flat.
Yep.
That's what happened.
So you got to go back to the drawing board on that one, AI. Don't be pulling no friggin' Reds Pretenderic shit on me.
Hit him with the wall, chocolate.
We ain't gonna go through that again.
Fallacy, chocolate.
Hit him with the composition.
Unless you take and knock that wall flat, are you going to knock your wall down to make it flat?
John, I'm behind you 100%. Maybe they got a point. I'm not really grasping it. You know, because I'm thinking that we're talking about flat Earth, the flat Earth debate. We're all standing atop the flat Earth. I thought I understood it when I brought up the wheel, but I gotta admit, I don't understand.
Well, they're trying to invoke infinite permutations of orientation, right? But you can't really do that on the surface. It's kind of madness.
What? are you talking about?
Just be done with it.
Give the kids. Is the Earth horizontally orientated?
Holy. Might as well try and interrupt me. Shit. Keep, go ahead.
Or move on to what you were going to say.
I was going to tell John to give him some sugar and a pair of cymbals. Get it over with.
I don't know how you do it, John. You got a lot of patience, man. I don't know how you do it, because if it was me, hold on, if that was me and I still had kids that age, I would have been like, shut the freak up and go to your room. Can't you see I'm discussing something here?
No, I'll never raise my voice to my kids over this. Never.
Yeah, I'm Italian. I get away with it.
They don't get that at that age.
You little shit. You know,
see, Eli, I don't think they get it the way we were raised. That was common.
Yeah,
raising your voice. That was like normal.
That gave us respect when we spoke to our elders. You know.
Yeah, but when you're a baby, you get away with stuff. It's just
exactly.
There was one time.
He's 1 year
Gotta do
old,
it in
man.
there,
No.
baby, when they got you thinking they
Yep.
don't understand. Oh yeah, you
1
6
years
month
old
old
and
little
different.
motherfucker. You
Definition.
understand.
Right. Speaking of that, who's got the definition of flat? That means orientated horizontally exclusively.
Who said
Oh,
that?
you still on this? You gonna
Oh, that
plant your
doesn't
flag in
exist.
here?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna pound it. I'm gonna pound it till the
It's
cows come
you,
home.
Chewy.
He's got the infinite permutations of flat.
Yeah.
Is what he's arguing
Yeah,
for.
bro. Why don't you just give me the definition of flat?
I mean, but it's a
Maybe I should join in, and
Means
then everybody
oriented
can understand what the
horizontally
hell is saying.
exclusively.
Exactly.
I mean, I don't get it, dude. Why is it so complicated?
but it's
It
a fact
isn't.
because
We already
every
exposed you.
it's a fact because every you like when it comes to flat mathematically you can put that in any position. The only way to actually even
What
I mean I don't know. Yeah, I'm because I don't know what
Dude,
the
I don't even
problem
care,
is
Elijah. I want
anymore.
the citation and the definition that means flat is oriented horizontally exclusively.
Yeah,
Otherwise,
okay,
I win.
that's
It's
not
that
a
simple.
fucking problem. That's not a
All right,
problem.
cool.
And then we need a citation exclusively saying flat's fucking vertical. Exclusively. Go ahead. Right now.
It doesn't have to be. I didn't say it was.
Yes, you did.
That's the difference. I didn't.
Yeah.
You said
Nah,
You
don't
said
do that. He didn't make that claim. Don't put
Yeah,
that
but
on.
he-
No,
He didn't say that.
no, this
Hey,
Don't put claims in my mouth because you're talking loud, bro.
no, he's being sarcastic like I was being when you said that I committed that fallacy I didn't commit like 2 months ago. Remember that AI?
Hit him with the composition fallacy.
I don't know. Maybe. I can't remember that one, but I do remember the incident. I just don't remember the particulars.
yeah.
So then, AI, what are you saying then?
I'm saying that horizontal is a particular orientation,
What?
right?
Yeah, flat.
The way we define
flat's not an orientation
way we
necessarily.
define-
Horizontal is.
Flat's not an orientation.
the way we define horizontal orientation is the only one that doesn't need a reification fallacy.
Let
literally
John have the stage to try to mock what I just said. Let John have the stage because it sounds like he was trying to mock me. So let him have the stage to do so.
Yeah.
You two got to get into a ring and settle this shit. AI
is an
and
attribute, not
freaking
an orient.
reflected curvature got to get into a ring and settle this because I'm feeling some tensions between yous.
And meanwhile, I'm surrounded by curved walls all over
I
the
just want an
place.
answer. I just want an
Flat is
answer.
an attribute, not an orientation.
What horizontal freaking means, bro?
You're confusing slope with flat. That's all you're doing.
Whatever, dude. What's horizontal? That's what I want to know. That's what I've been asking for a million times. You don't get it.
Horizontal's flat.
Flat.
It's
So horizontal just means smooth.
wait, but John, how could you just end the QE? How could you end the statement there? You've always prefaced it with, but flat isn't horizontal.
What?
Horizontal is flat, but flat's not necessarily horizontal. Like, remember him with the wall chocolate? Remember that?
That's what AI said.
No, smooth. Smooth is not necessarily horizontal. Slope is not necessarily.
That's the red herring right there.
What?
Well,
No, that's what
I'll
y'all are
read you a definition
confusing
of
with
flat right
flat.
now, bro.
Straight.
Here's the definition of flat. Flat adjective. Smooth and even without marked bumps or indentations, right? Flat. So you can have that in an infinite amount of permutations, not necessarily horizontal.
That's incorrect. From the dictionary, Cambridge
it's
level,
absolutely
not
correct.
rising or falling or higher on one side, but even in all directions, horizontal or flat. There you go. There's the citation. You want about 10 more?
Yeah, why not? Now the QEs give his. Now the QEs give his. Let him give his.
Yeah.
Well, no, because this is a category error.
Yep.
Yeah. What's going off here? It depends whether you're using the adjective, the adverb, or the noun as to whether you're right or wrong. And then you've got whether you're talking about it in its geometric sense, which is really what we're referring to. And then there's the colloquial aspect.
Correct.
Seems to be what we're
Now, let me ask you this question. Let me ask you this question. Hold on, bro. Let me ask you this question. Is there any misunderstanding about the orientation of horizontal, or is horizontal orientation exclusive?
It's an adverb or a verb. It will relate to the horizontal. If you're using it as an adjective, it doesn't necessarily invoke orientation. Using it geometrically, it should do. Using it colloquially, we can both laugh at the wall joke.
Yeah, well, check this out. I got a definition here: flat, smooth and even without marked bumps or indentations, right?
Yeah. Now,
so we have here smooth being described as flat here. Now, that definition alone, whether it's true or not, you could say that could have an infinite amount of orientations, right?
If we use it as a noun, place the flat of her hand, over something. Now, if she places it over a stationary glass, it'll be horizontal, but it's the flat of her hand. It depends where you're using the word, but it's just ultra picky. But if we're going to be talking in relation to Earth,
that just proves that you can have an infinite amount of permutations with those descriptors. Now, horizontal, you can't. Horizontal has one orientation.
He don't want you to get that out, Brian. Adam. I'm sorry, Adam. He's not going to let you get that part out.
See, and then if you're going to use the adverb,
hold on,
use the adverb of it.
He gets chocolate because he needs his curved wall.
Yeah, it invokes horizontal though. Yeah, so you can, in the definition of flat as an adverb, it replies in or to a horizontal position. And like I said, this is why we're arguing in category errors. Somebody's talking about adverbs, somebody's talking about nouns, somebody's talking about adjectives.
So according to the definition that AI just read out, where smooth is used as the definition for flat or a synonym for it. So when I said this wall next to me looks pretty flat, and I was corrected and told that it's just smooth, it kind of means the same thing.
But you were talking about orientation.
Right.
We were talking about
I was just talking about a wall. I was just talking about a wall.
You understand it, Chocolate. Understand it. So horizontal plane is
we were
indeed
talking
flat.
about orientation. It was set up in the context of the discussion before. We were talking about orientation. How hard is this?
That's what I'm saying. When you reference it to something, such as when I said with the hand, that's fine. Things become obvious, and we are talking about the nature of Earth. So there is a point there that if we're going to use the term flat when we're talking about the nature of Earth, it kind of will invoke the fact that it's referenced to horizontal. I think would be.
Well, no duh. But if you use it in reference to a wall, you say that wall is flat. Does that mean the wall is horizontal? Of course not.
Exactly my point.
That's exactly my point.
Yeah. If when we're talking flat Earth debate, we should be able to use the term flat and know that it's synonymous with horizontal position. I think. If we're going to go and have a chat about walls, then we can describe them flat, but it's not. It's
you got
not
it, sir.
debate.
So when you say to yourself,
that was
the
my
Earth
point
isn't
earlier.
Earth. Right. So to say the Earth isn't flat, right, because it has bumps, right, it's silly because you're speaking about the orientation on the horizontal plane when you say the Earth is flat, right? So someone who comes in and pedantically says, well, the Earth's not literally flat, therefore I'm not a flat earther. It's just a dude, right?
Right, but when someone says that flat can mean an infinite number of orientations, you slap them in the face and tell them, no, if you're speaking about orientation, you are specifically talking about horizontal.
No, I'm not. Because I gave you the definition, dude, and I use this definition all the time in my field.
Yes, you are. So aren't going to work
your
here.
opinion,
You're
dude.
speaking about you shut your mouth when you're talking.
No need.
Hey, dude, don't speak to me that way.
Huey,
okay, it's pretty lame.
Language. All the specialists use the words in another type of way. So yeah, it's like one of those words.
I've got a
Listen,
question.
I understand that context of the words.
Everybody stop. Yes, Chocolate, please just stop for a second and understand what Arwen said. What Arwen said is that the definition of flat and how it's employed has different meanings in different fields. But I would submit to you that horizontal is one thing and one thing only, and it's not up for debate what horizontal is.
I've
That's
got a
my
question for QE, please. And refracted. What orientation is my flat screen TV?
Perpendicular.
We'll wait. I can answer this. The flat, right? Colloquially, you're using that as an adjective to describe the smoothness of the surface, correct?
I'm just.
But when you talk about the orientation,
No, that's not what I heard.
your TV is not laying flat, is it?
Yeah, but not every statement. Not every statement is made with the context.
TV,
Come on,
John.
man.
Well, time out. Let's go time out. Because look, you can ask him. It doesn't mean that it's laying on the floor. And he's like, that's correct. However, what orientation did I set my TV up? It still stands. So you didn't actually even address what he said.
Let me parse this out semiotically. Let me parse it.
Hold on
Never
a
mind.
second. Depending upon whether you're using as an adjective, adverb, as Adam stated, right? The flat screen TV is smooth because you're using it as an adjective at that point, right? To describe the TV. Yes?
Dude, it's the word that's being
incorrect.
used.
No, incorrect. No, time out. No, incorrect. He said, what orientation is my flat screen TV? He didn't say
it is not
describe.
Flat.
He didn't say describe my flat screen TV.
Right. His flat screen TV is not lying flat. That is correct.
That's weird. That's a weird way to respond. I ain't gonna lie.
It's okay. It's okay, bro. It's okay. It's okay. Okay, listen. Words are token meaning pairs. Okay. So a single meaning can have multiple tokens, and a single token can have multiple meanings. So here we have the token flat, which has multiple meanings depending on how you're employing it. Now, we all agree on that.
Adam, explain to him the difference between adjective and adverb, please.
Dude, listen. They're different. There's the same token with different meanings, correct or incorrect?
The moment you invoke orientation with
I guess you can't answer the question. It's too hard for you. So somebody intelligent answer the question,
No need.
please.
No need.
Yes, yeah, because I'm answering him directly, and he doesn't like that. Because the moment you invoke
I just want you to concede that flat can have different meanings, dude. That's all. You already agreed whether you realize it or not. So just concede.
I didn't disagree with that. I'm saying as orientation goes, it only has one meaning.
John, when I make the statement, this wall next to me seems pretty flat. Am I making a statement about orientation, or am I just describing the wall?
You're describing the smoothness. Right, you're using an adjective to describe the smoothness of the wall.
Can I just point out?
Hold on.
Orientation and attributes.
Come on, Arwen, shut the fuck up, bro. I'm trying to ask a question.
No swearing.
Right? So, sorry, Kenny. All right, so
in
that statement, I'm using it as a description, right? So when I was told that I was incorrect by using the word flat to describe this wall, I wasn't wrong then.
No, you brought that up in relation to an argument about orientation of flat. That was your rebuttal to that.
Yeah,
That's why you said with the wall, Chocolate.
Yes, Chocolate.
I understand
yes,
but
John was being a D-head that day, yes. Now,
absolutely.
What I just heard was Refracted actually agree with AI's point, which was the horizontal is only exclusive versus everything else.
But when you're talking about
no, because when I put my flat screen TV up, I always make sure it's horizontal so I can see it properly.
Right.
What part
We're in
is the thing?
agreement,
What
though,
part
right?
of it's horizontal? What part of it's horizontal?
Exactly. Thank you, AI.
The orientation?
No, the orientation we just discussed is not flat, but it is horizontal, the orientation that I do, isn't it?
One second.
Or straight
Adam,
and
one
not
second.
diagonal.
For Elijah's,
Sorry, I'm really
for
sorry to
Elijah's
interrupt and break
question.
this up. I'm really sorry. Just an email from Bev. It says, under a microscope, your flat TV isn't actually flat.
Is it horizontal?
Oh, my goodness. Good one.
Right. But if you say, listen to this. If you say flat has an infinite amount of permutations of orientation, that's wrong.
Why?
Correct.
Because you're
either an attribute or an orientation.
No, it's only wrong if the flat is not relating to the orientation. It's relating to a characteristic of the thing.
I agree.
Attribute. Yep.
The surface, right?
So is the surface of Earth have an infinite amount of orientations?
Nope.
Oh, it has one orientation. What is that orientation called?
As if it's a globe.
Properly. The orientation of the plane of the Earth is what? What is that called?
Horizontal.
Yeah, but when you're talking about
the center of the sphere,
Stop. Make him say it. Make him say it. Make him say the words. Otherwise, he can't be part of our club.
horizontal, yeah, that's fine. But when you're talking about the orientations of things on Earth, flat is horizontal.
Do you want to do that in a circle again?
I'm not going in a circle. It's the same thing I've been saying from the beginning. It's not an infinite permutation.
If I put my TV on the wall, it's not flat, but I make sure it's horizontal.
Oh my God. You're not gonna get it.
I'm just being a git.
Yeah, because you're approaching it very different. Right? You're not like describing the details, you're describing your interface with it so that it is adapted to your orientation.
Right. So check this out.
That's a different
Any horizontal
approach. Oh my God.
It's not in relation to me, it's in relation to the Earth. Both the flat screen TV, which is on the wall, is also horizontal. They're all referenced, aren't they, to the Earth? They're not referenced to me. I could stand on my head. That doesn't change the descriptions that I've given.
So let me ask this question, Adam. Let's say you have a 50-inch TV, so the bottom of it's like 40-something inches long. So let's just say 48 inches wide at the bottom. So you have a straight line of the bezel on the bottom, right? And you orientate that horizontal. Let's say you use a level. And you get it perfectly horizontal, parallel with the plane of the Earth. Now let me ask this question. If the TV is horizontal, the phrase horizontal, the identifier horizontal, orientated with the plane of the Earth, can that exist at all in any way, shape, or form if the Earth is a globe?
Not if it's in relation to the surface, no.
In relation to the surface means orientation, is it?
But check this out. If you say I have a horizontally arranged item, right, that takes up 45 inches, which is a line, right, the bottom of it, it's a line. The center point of that would be a particular distance from the equipotential of the gravity, right? Or from the radius, either way you want to look at it.
Okay,
and the two ends.
There will be a point. Yes, okay, there would be a point.
But that point is not horizontal. Only a line is horizontal. So
Correct.
the two ends of that TV, if the Earth was a globe, would actually be higher in elevation than the center point, which means the bottom of the television would not be a straight line, but actually a reciprocal slope.
But not horizontal then. I wouldn't have hung it horizontally.
Right. That is how incoherent. That is how incoherent the claim of horizontals on a globe is.
Right, but it wouldn't be a slope, it'd be a rate of change of slope. And the thing is, the moment you say orientation, you say
for goodness
flat,
sakes,
you're on both of
did you even
those
understand what I said? Did you even understand what I said, dude?
Yeah, I did. And I corrected what you
if the
said and said
TV,
it's
if
not a
the two
slope, it's a rate of
elevations,
change of slope.
oh, what is?
What you were trying to describe with the, if it was a sphere, would have a change of slope, or it would be a slope. No, it wouldn't. It'd be a rate of change of slope.
Hey, pay attention. We'll see if you can follow. You have a center point in the TV, right? The exact midpoint. The two extremities on the same line are radially the same distance from the center of your alleged radius, right? Those 3 points are reciprocal slopes.
The bottom of the TV would be defined as a rate of change of slope, though. Now that you're going to go to
No, it wouldn't, dude. Holy crap, dude. It's
really
like you got buzzwords. It's like you got buzzwords in your head and you don't even know how to argue clearly.
You just don't know what words mean.
No, dude. You have 3 points with a straight line between the points.
You're talking about a
That
triangle.
is a slope. Yes, with a reciprocal slope. No rate of change of slope. So I don't know where you got rate of change of slope from.
That's what curvature is, dude. How do you not know this?
Well, dude, I know. I'm not speaking about curvature. I'm speaking about the television, dude. So maybe if you want to talk about curvature, you should have parsed that out.
You think if you
Instead of
lived on
making
a
it look
sphere,
like I
the
was
bottom of
talking
the TV
nonsense.
would be a triangle? You think if you lived on a sphere, the bottom of the TV would be a triangle, is what you just said.
I think he's saying that if we lived on a sphere, the horizon wouldn't be horizontal because you wouldn't have that because it's a globe, right? There is no horizontal on a globe.
I thought we were talking about a TV.
So even the word horizon itself or horizontal would be different just by the nature of it being a globe. So it wouldn't be horizontal, right? I mean, am I wrong?
You're right. You're right, dude. The slope-a-dope that quantum eraser explains.
And that's not the argument that was being had. That's
whatever, dude.
Nobody's arguing
Chocolate
that.
clearly gets
What
it,
he
and you
said
don't.
was that he's talking about 3 points of slope,
John,
which
real
would
quick,
be a triangle, is what he's describing.
I didn't even get confirmation that I was right.
Well, ask me in particular, Chocolate, and I'll answer for myself. There you go.
No, I was just trying to say, did I sum up what you were saying before? I'm trying to understand what your point was. Did I get that right?
Yes, my point is a horizontal line cannot exist on a globe.
Right.
Because there's only a point source which is ever equidistant, and to make a horizontal, it requires a line, not just a point. That's the nuance.
Now that does tie into quantum eraser slope-a-dope, which is the globe horizon would be a rate of change of slope, right? Because it's a circle or an arc, which also is not horizontal. Either one, it makes the concept of horizontal incoherent in practicality. Or levels, like the levels that I use in my job. It's like instead of being a level, it's actually a reciprocal angle differentiator altimeter. It's not a level anymore.
It's terrible.
Right. So the rate of change of slope is curvature. That was what I was trying to point out to you. And now you're going to acknowledge it? Come on, dude. Why are you going to act like it? Why are you so argumentative against me? I don't get it. There's something wrong with you.
Dumb as shit, dude. That's why. There you go.
Oh, wonderful. And on that note, I'm going to say a huge, massive, enormous thank you to my fantastic Discord and G+ panels for making today's after show possible. And of course, a massive thank you to all of you in either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Premiering streams. Hope you're smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, joining as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member, and all that good stuff. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.
What a lovely day!